bumblebees. It's not the way that I should feel, but it's the way I'm gonna stay tuned. Chasing you all around the world. Wrong way. You took my heart, took it a heart too young. And then it goes, downhearted, do. Broken dreams that never really started. Yeah, downhearted, do. Broken dreams that never really start. And I'll stop it there. Now,
is that your way of like introducing some shit song you wrote?
Yep. No, I didn't write this.
It sounds like it.
This is why it's pertinent to you, you fuck. Australian crawl, okay. Downhearted, you're an Australian now. That's the fucking link. And I'm downhearted because my cat died and I haven't quite recovered from it. That's your fucking song, Ingrates.
I don't think we have to worry about demonetization.
No, you won't. You won't have to worry about anything. Let me introduce the bullshit. This is Invert the Why episode, Captain's Log, Stardate Log 12.1.5.9, and the USS Invert the Why is orbiting another planet of retrodom and bullshit, and it's powered by Fairy Bread and sponsored by its mother. And I'm actually very surprised, but very, very happy to say that we have a special guest today again. We've got Serious Sam. He came back on his own volition, and I'm a little bit concerned because he actually wanted firstly to come back on the podcast.
And nobody ever wants to do
and
that.
no one ever really does. And not only that, he's actually got something to say, and I think it's about him being upset with me.
I was just a little aggrieved when I started being attacked during one of your episodes because I might have made a comment to Jason... to what do we call
Jason
him?
Relaxation, who's also part of this bullshit podcast as well this week. But I've just given up introducing him because we can assume he's here.
And so I made a single comment to Jason on a band I was surprised you'd missed off on discussing, and then all of a sudden we spent about 40 minutes just attacking me needlessly for I can't even remember how I was described.
Truth be told, he has that habit of spending 40 minutes ranting about the same thing.
Yeah, and then I forget.
What happens when you get old.
That's right, I'm old now.
And have half your brain
and
in
half
a jar.
your brain's in a jar somewhere. And not only that, I forget what I've started ranting about. So halfway through the rant, I go...
just get in a loop.
I just get in a loop. It's like a fucking... one of those Star Trek time loops where they get trapped in time. And it's like, I can't remember what I was actually
talking about. It's like Groundhog Day.
It's Groundhog... My day is Actually, my life is like Groundhog Day. I wake up every morning. Firstly, I go, fuck, I'm alive. That's the first little tick of the box. But it's the same every day.
Well done me.
Well done me. Hooray. Give me a gold star. Where is it? Oh, you don't get one for life. That's right, kids. You don't get a gold star for waking up in the morning. That's your future.
Yeah.
So harden up, you fucks.
You sure as
right?
shit don't get a scratch and sniff.
No, that was in the 80s, and we had a teacher. She fucking was addicted to them. She'd line them up on her arm, and she'd sniff them. That's a true fucking story. He knows what I'm talking about. This is true. We had a teacher, and she used to hand them out all the time, the scratch and sniffs, like the different flavors or smells or whatever.
You know you're supposed to sniff them, not taste them, yeah?
I'm telling you, she would lick them too. And she used to put them... She had a...
See, they sound quite sexual anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Scratch and sniff.
Scratch and sniff. Oh, there you go. That's another story. But it's good to have you back, Serious Sam. I'm glad you came back. I'm really pleased. I'm very... Look, if I...
On a lovely day.
Yeah, it's shit out there.
It's fucking horrible today.
It's horrible. You know, but that's why I'm downhearted, like Australian Crawl was saying. I couldn't do it in the style of James Rain. Have you ever... when you go home...
See, all of those things, none of them mean anything.
Okay, when you get a chance... Spotify it or whatever, because it's on Spotify, and you cannot understand a word James Rain is actually singing. Mm-hmm. And back in the 80s, they were quite a prominent Australian band. I don't think they ever really did much internationally.
Because nobody can understand his lyrics.
That was the joke. No bullshit.
Is it the accent or is it the
no,
style
he's
of
just
No, he's just a fucking horrible singer.
No, right. He's not bad. It's what it was like he sort of... interweaved each word together.
He didn't clearly enunciate his vowels.
That's what it is, and it's weird. But he was famous for basically, what the fuck's James Rain singing? But they had a couple of big hits in Australia back in the 80s, right? And I like Downhearted because that's how I feel. Like, you know, what the fuck's the point? This could be the last podcast I ever do. But thanks for coming back. And I'm sorry if I offended you, Serious Sam. That's a public apology. I don't mean to do that.
I don't think I've ever heard you apologise for
No,
anything.
but I respect you. But all the
he
other...
didn't even apologise to a certain continent he offended.
No, they can go get fucked, a lot of them. Might be 1.4 billion of them, but they can fucking deal with it. Suck it up. You know what I mean? Harden up, you fucks. You know what I mean? That's what I'm just going to say about it. I got nothing else to say. Make my shit. Fucking done.
Jesus fuck.
Move on. So, Serious Sam, you've come in. You've got a plate or a list of grievances.
Or topics.
Or topics.
Or something to talk about.
But we just started a topic upstairs that we should finish, because you just said to me as we walked downstairs, let's finish it. John Wick.
Yes.
Because we both were talking about Cyberpunk 2077, how it was revealed at E3.
Looks amazing.
Yeah, I don't... Look,
I genuinely felt a little twinge with that. It was just like...
I did too.
Yeah,
he felt it in his pants.
I felt it in my loins.
It's like I'm already booking the time off work.
No, I am too.
Frankly.
No.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
If they don't fucking delay it.
Shout out to
Put that in the
Well,
universe.
I don't think they will. I think they're going to be pretty good with their release date, because they've said
They've never been good with their fucking release
No,
dates.
they-
Yeah, but they've been working on
They're
it
working
for
on
8
it for a long
years or
time.
something. So you'd feel they're pretty confident if it's like
and it's
10 months out.
exactly 10 months out, and they've come out with the release date of April next year. I think it was
April 20th or something.
something.
Yeah.
So I think they'll make that pretty easily. And from everything I've seen, the only question mark that people have said that have played the game or seen demos of it is maybe the gunplay isn't where it should be right now. But to me, it looks unreal. And then
Plenty of time to fix
then
that.
they revealed Keanu, who we've got men crushes for, right? And he's not just a token celebrity character in this. He's actually a proper real character in it, apparently, from
Yeah, I was
what I've
reading
heard.
I was reading the thing, and it was like, oh, there's the silver-handed rock god or something that he plays, and that's a thing. But I never played the table game or anything. So
No, I don't know
it doesn't
anything.
mean anything.
No,
to
it doesn't
me.
mean anything to me either. But
I was just like, woo, Keanu!
Keanu! Oh, Keanu! Oh! But I clipped. Fuck the audio. No, from what I've read and what I've seen, they're saying that he's no like shoe-in for like 20 minutes.
Yep.
He's a proper character. Now, how he relates to your main character in the game is not really well known, at least to me anyway.
I don't think you'll find out till you play it, hopefully.
Probably not. I maybe it is known, but I don't know. I haven't gone that far down the rabbit hole of researching the game. But it sounds like Keanu's a real deal. And he actually was interviewed after his E3 stage presence, and he said that he actually had the script quite a while ago, and he was really into the story. And he said he looked at it like it was a movie, and he wanted to be part of it. That's awesome. And it's awesome that CD Projekt Red thought of him to do the role in the first place.
Well, I think it's like the luxury you get when you like the success that they had with The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
It's like you basically just got all of this money, all of the money you could possibly imagine. It's like, what can we do now? Go nuts, basically. We're going to have all of the people.
Speaking of Witcher 3, it's coming out to fucking Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, but you know the resolution it's running at? 540p.
Don't care, I'm still going to play it again.
Yeah, don't know.
I have a confession. I've not finished it.
Wow.
You need to, because it's fucking fabulous.
I've got all the expansions. I've got the whole thing. The fantasy thing just doesn't vibe with me that well. Like, I've completed the first two, but I just couldn't get on with it.
You know what I loved about The Witcher 3? Obviously, it's based on a series of books, which I haven't read. So it's already got an advantage because it's got this lore behind it. But what I loved about it was the fact that every which way you turned and every quest that you were doing, whether it was a side quest or a main quest, there was an interesting group of characters that you were coming across. The only thing about that game that was its chink in its armour, I think, and it's universally agreed on, is its combat was a little bit off. But it wasn't terrible, it just wasn't its strong suit.
It'll be interesting, like, with what you're saying about Cyberpunk, to see whether that's like, is that going to be a theme now? Because like Witcher 2 was the same. Like,
Yeah, Witcher 2 didn't do it for me either.
You go through and it's like I'm cack-handed and uncoordinated as I get older. It's like changing swords and all the other stuff. I'm just like, not really.
I've got a confession too. I didn't finish Witcher 2. I think I played that on the Xbox 360 and I might have got halfway through it, or maybe not even that. And that's the maid lady. It's on Jason Relaxation's phone. You've seen the maid lady too. You got inducted into that as well today. You've had a good day.
I've committed the name to my memory.
You know who it is now, don't you?
I do.
You fucking put that on your phone too, won't you?
She's She's got the part. She's the star of the next
got
seven.
the look.
Well, she's on Twitch every day, pretty much.
Typically with a controller up her
Typically with a controller going, it's time for Dance Dance Revolution, yay! Or she'll play Twister. Can you imagine her playing Twister?
I can now.
Yes, there you go. So, just remember the little softening blow I did for you today to try and take the edge off. No, I think The Witcher 2, the combat, at least for me, and probably playing it on the 360, which was not up to the snuff really to run it. The combat was pretty rough. And I never played the first Witcher because that was on PC only, and I don't know why. I don't think I had a PC I don't think I had a PC at that particular point in my life, or one that was capable of running it.
Yeah.
So I didn't play the first one, but the third one was great, and the expansions are the only time. And I've had this conversation with others on the podcast where the DLC, I didn't have a problem with it because it actually gave me a lot for my money. And it gave me more of that universe because I just love that game so much. So any extra content that they could throw at me, I'll take it. But Cyberpunk's a big departure from Witcher, though, in terms of every which way you can look at it. Like it's a first person as opposed to a third person game. It's got some like funky little mechanics, the way the bullets shoot round corners and all sorts of shit. It'll be really interesting to see what they do. But the only concern people have got that they've said when they looked at the demo or they got sort of close to it was they're not sure about the combat. But who knows? You know, they got a lot of time to tighten it all up. I haven't played it. I'm
still taking a few days off to play it.
Oh, shit, yeah. I've said to Pedro, shout out to the suppressive personality out there, that I want to do a midnight launch for it.
Fuck, that'd be unreal.
Because I've done a few midnight launches over my years.
Every time we bitch about it, though.
Every time we bitch about it, but that's one game in the future that I want to do a midnight. I don't know if they'll do it.
No.
But I want to do one.
No, they might.
They might. Because you know when they do the big games that get released and they have like EB Games or JBHiFi, they'll do like a midnight launch and you totally nerd it out, man.
That's where we got the Fallout mask from.
Yeah. Yourself a nice full-length black leather trench coat.
Oh, fuck, we've seen some fucking...
We saw people... Yeah, for Fallout,
actually,
we
you
saw
know
some
what?
funny people.
Before you get in your grievance, and we're talking about this, and hold your John Wick, put that in the parking lot as the corporate world will say, go fuck yourself, corporate world. I've got a fucking RAM. I've got a RAM. It's just popped into my head. No bullshit. Right? It's a quick one. So you know what you fucking do. Roll it, monkeys.
Jesus fuck.
Did they roll it?
Yeah.
You know, midnight releases. I want to... If they do one for... not Witcher. What I'm saying? Witcher.
Fuck, I would do it for Witcher.
I'd do it for Witcher 4, but what I'm saying is Cyberpunk 2077, if they do one, and I think they will, I want to go. But going back, I'm going to say 2015, we went... Jason, Relaxation and I, we went to a midnight launch for Fallout 4. Right, now Fallout 4 turned out to be shit.
You could actually take it further back than that if you're going to say the people that I think you're
Yeah,
gonna say.
but I thought it was 2015. I thought it was Fallout 4 when it first happened, because what happened was, we go to get...
No, that was Grand Theft Auto,
that's
mate.
right, I'm wrong. 2013, we go to Grand Theft Auto 5 for the midnight launch of that, right? And you're right, I'm wrong. And we go there. This is a fucking cracker. We line up at... we get down... I get to Jason Relaxation's place and we have dinner. And then I said, look, it's 8 o'clock. Let's go down to the shop and sort it all out. And I think it was a Thursday night for a Friday release, I think, from memory. And what they'd said to us was pay everything up front because we're not doing transactions at midnight. We're just going to give you the game. Cool. So we left his place at 8 o'clock. We go down there, sort all the money out. And then they said, look, if you want to line up, the line starts here. And already there was a couple of fucking nerds there. And I'm talking the high-class nerds, right? There was about 4 guys
Literally
there.
playing fucking Pokemon.
No, they were playing Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. I'm not making this up. Yeah, I can see you cringing because I was. Let me put it to you this way, Serious Sam.
Mind you, we were next in line.
It's not a world that I've lived in.
Yeah.
No, I haven't either. They made me look good, right? And that doesn't happen
Takes
often,
work.
right? Takes a lot of work. And so I'm sitting. They're sitting on the ground, and there was only I think at this stage at 8 o'clock at night there was about 10 people there, and there were these 5 kids just in front of us, and maybe a couple of people behind us. Not many people at all. And I said to Jason, Relaxation, look, fuck, man, maybe this is going to be a fizzer. Maybe no one's going to turn up to this fucking thing. You know what I mean? But even though it was Grand Theft Auto 5, everyone thought this is going to be the shit. Where is everybody?
It was the shit.
It was the shit. It was.
Still is
But
pretty fucking cool.
But where is everybody?
Not online, though.
No.
It's awful.
I haven't done that. I don't want to know about
Don't
online.
play with 5-year-olds.
No.
It's a tip for life.
So anyway, we're there lining up. These guys are playing Magic the Gathering, and one of them's got headphones on, and he turns to me and he goes, "Are you guys here for Grand Theft Auto?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, cool. If you guys want to go anywhere, we'll leave your spot. We'll save you your spot." Because I'd talked about, they must have heard me saying, grab me a coffee, fuckhead, and, or whatever, And they said, if you guys want to go, we'll save you your spot. And they were pretty decent guys. And then they said to me, they go, "Are you guys brothers?" Well, yeah. And he goes, "Oh, cool." He goes, "Are you lining up for Grand Theft?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." No, actually, I said, "No, I'm lining up."
I'm just here outside.
No, actually,
JBHiFi
you know what I said? Fuck it. No, I'm actually here for Tomb Raider because Tomb Raider got released the same fucking day. No bullshit. And I said, "No, I'm here for Tomb Raider to fuck them up." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, no, you're here for Grand Theft Auto." And these guys had the stats. These guys knew the missions. And the best bit, one of the head guys, we called him Old Mate because he looked like he was 50 years old, but he was like 20, right? And we call him Old Mate. And Old Mate said...
To this day, we occasionally bump into Old Mate.
We'll get to this. And Old Mate had told us that he'd parked in this particular spot, but he'd mapped it out the Sunday before, right? So he'd come down a couple of days before the midnight launch, found the best car spot, and then mapped out the quickest way to the exit, then mapped out what best way home, and he worked out he'd be back home at 15 minutes. Oh, he was hardcore. So we talked to this guy for hours, whatever. Long story short, we get our game, we go home. Flash forward to 2015.
You forgot about the car park incidents.
No, that was Fallout 4.
Was it?
Yeah. So flash forward 2 years later, Fallout 4 gets released, and I say to Jason, Relaxation, "Do you want to go down and do the midnight run again?" Because the last one was awesome. They had like fucking disco machines and they had slushy machines. And people, like when we went there... It was a party. We went down there. There was like 10 people. We went and got a coffee, and they true to their word. They saved our spot. They were good guys. We came back. There was fucking 100 people. Then as time went closer to midnight, there was 200 people. They had about 200 people down there. It was fucking insane. So flash forward to 2015. Let's go again. Let's go to Fallout 4 because we're big Fallout fans, right? Little did we know the game was shit. But we line up.
Still not finished it.
It's shit.
I just got bored.
Oh, it's shit, mate.
It's grindy as fuck.
Oh, it's shit. We lined up, and no bullshit. I look over down the hallway, and Jason says to me, "Is that Old Mate?" I go, "Yeah, but he's put on like 20, 30 kilos." And he's walking down, he goes, "Hey, you two brothers?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey, I saw you back in 2013 for Grand Theft Auto." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You here again for Fallout 4? I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, cool." And we start talking to him again. And the same thing again. Oh, I've mapped out the best way to get out of the car park. I've mapped out the best place to park. I came down here on Sunday.
The same place.
Yeah, we went to the same place.
So it'd be the same car park.
Yeah, everything. But he fucking mapped it out.
He refined
Logic brain work.
Yeah, he refined it.
Same place, right? So anyway...
He probably just did it once in 1987 and now has to tell everyone.
But he's right. What happened was, because this is when I had the Golf.
Mm-hmm. But what before that? How many special editions did
because he was VIP, right? So again, he's lobbed up and said...
He got the Pip Boy.
He got the Pip Boy.
He got like several of them.
And you know what? They gave it to him before anybody else got Fallout 4. He got the Pip Boy edition, which was fucking rare. Remember that?
Yeah, $200.
Yeah, and he walked out as proud as punch. But not only did he have one Pip Boy, he had two Pip Boys. He had actually three. He had a PC version, PS4 version, and Xbox One version. No bullshit. And he was as proud as punch. He was obviously going to scalp him on eBay later on. But he walked out the door the first out of the line because he was VIP and he had the Pip Boy. And you should have seen him. He was as proud as punch. But he put the Pip Boys on his guts. And he's just walking out. So then we get to like the car park on this night when we finally got our copy of Fallout 4. And I'm telling you now, you ever seen 28 Days Later or any... It was like that. There were fucking zombies running like maniacs to their cars.
Holding their Fallout fucking
Holding
boxes.
their Fallout 4 boxes, right? And we get in the car and he's pissing himself laughing. He couldn't stop. We get in the car and we fucking hammered it out of the car park. Speed limits, who gives a fuck? And there was no joke. There was a guy pulled up beside me in this piece of shit car and he says to me, floor it, man. I'm like, cool. And I floored it. Anyway, I don't know how, but this prick beat me off the line at these set of lights in this piece of shit car. And he's like going, he's beating you, man. He's beating you. And I'm like, fuck he won't beat me. And we're like doing like 120 in a 60 zone to get up the fuck out of the car park. But all the way up to the next set of lights near the train station where we went, there were nerds running out of the Westfield shopping centre like fucking 28 Days Later, dude. They look like
There's
zombies.
people running to get to the last train.
People are running to get to the last train. People are running to get to their cars. And there were nerds with their Fallout 4 boxes going, ah! Ah! And they're running and they're like, what the fucking, this is weird. But flash forward to, what was it, last year?
Yeah, no, it was earlier this year, I think. We're in JB for some reason.
What was it? There was
No,
a
I think it
launch.
was there was another launch that we went to. What did we go?
There was another, what was the fucking midnight launch we did this year?
Oh, I can't remember. Hold on.
Oh, Red Dead Redemption last year.
Yeah, that's it.
October last year. So we're 2018. We decided we'll do another midnight launch for yet another fucking overrated
And that was
game.
a debacle because we went
I
with the
wasn't
wrong.
a big fan of Red Dead Redemption 2.
It's very peaky and
Yeah,
toffee,
we'll
but
get
it's
to
got
that
some great
maybe.
peaks.
We'll get to that maybe. So we fucking did another midnight launch for that bullshit, and I'd convinced like Pedro and other people to come down, and here we are, lining up. And
Mind you were lining up. Of all the people, it's
yeah.
fucking scorching hot.
Yeah,
There's no air
scorching hot.
conditioning.
It's fucking.
He's about to pass out
mate,
because
they fucking. So everyone pissed off.
they go.
What
You get my copy.
Yeah, because what happened was I paid for them all, right? And they said, oh, it's too hot, because the Westfields tend to shut the air conditioning off at midnight or thereabouts to save money, and it's fucking 45 degrees outside. It'd be about 60 inside. I'm ready to pass out. The worst person to give this responsibility to, they gave it to me. And these fucking idiots, and I'll call them out now, they know who they fucking are because they listen to this bullshit, were standing by a big giant fan that the shop had put on because people were passing out, and they're standing there looking as cool as cucumbers.
Shout out to Nervous Nathan.
Shout out to Nervous Nathan. Shout out to the drunken monkey, the one with the Cockney accent. They know who they fucking are. And shout out to Pedro, the suppressive personality. They know. And they were standing by this fan doing like fanning themselves like this, like they're on fucking holiday.
Mind you, the fans are all switched off. They turned that fan on deliberately.
They turned the fan on themselves, the pricks.
They plugged it in at
And I'm
JBHiFi.
standing in this line, wilting, ready to pass out, wilting. Right, sweat coming out everywhere. It was so hot, but no bullshit. While we're in the line, getting ready to get our boxes, because the whole time I said to Jason, "Where's old mate?" And he's like, "Oh, maybe old mate's not coming. Maybe something's happened."
Maybe old mate died of a heart
It's
attack.
another 30 kilos finished him off.
No bullshit. As soon as we said it,
Here he comes.
he
Doof,
fucking
doof,
walked
doof.
in to the JBHiFi, doof, 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 right? And no bullshit, he had the same fucking headphones he had on, like back in 2013.
Straining a bit. with his
Right,
big
straining
fat
a bit. I said to him, he's put on mate, no bullshit, he put on another 30 kilos. He starts pissing himself. I go, what? He goes, it's fucking old mate. I looked over my shoulder, I go, holy shit, it's old mate. Old mate walks through the shopping centre as proud as punch, VIP. He got some bullshit.
Yeah, walks straight up to the desk, bang.
Walked straight up to the desk because he got that bullshit, the loot box one didn't even come with the game, but he got it, and they must have said, well, look, just come up and grab it. He was the only bloke that bought it, and he walked off. That's the third time we saw
You're going to
old
find out
mate.
like he's a JBHiFi franchisee or something.
Mate, well, we saw him
No,
at
EB, yeah.
originally. So for 2013 for Grand Theft Auto 5, we saw him at EB. We saw him at EB for Fallout 4, and then at JB, we'd all had the shits with EB at this point.
Because they were more expensive.
Because they were
didn't
more
want
expensive and giving away a ridiculous edition or whatever it was. We said, let's pre-order it at JB. And old mate turned up again. That's 3 times. So what I'm saying here is, if we did a midnight launch of Cyberpunk 2077, you know what? You should come.
Because we'll point you out to old mate.
Old mate will be there. And I'm telling you now,
30 kilos.
it'll be another 30 kilos, but he'll have the same headphones on. He'll be like, they'll be stretched. They'll be so wide. There'll be these giant headphones, but he'll be there.
I'm just thinking, you remember the fat vampire in Blade when he sits there torturing her with the
That's what it'll be.
It's gonna be him. It's fucking beautiful. Because it's exactly what he's like.
Every time we go to a midnight launch, we're like, where's old mate? And he turns up. So I'll tell you what, let's do it.
I'm PC Master Race, though.
No,
so am I.
My unlock is just going, oh, it's unlocked.
Yeah, it's unlocked.
I didn't even take
But look, you know
take my
what?
dressing gown
I've talked
off.
about this before, right? One thing I like about consoles over PCs, and I'm not going to argue that PCs are not superior or are superior, because they are superior. 100%. I'm not going to get in that debate with you. But why I like consoles is, at the moment, in the future won't be this. It'll be different. I like getting my disc, my physical disc, right? And yes, I can buy it digitally, but I get ripped off by that because it's more expensive 9 times out of 10.
On PlayStation,
Yeah. But I do like that bullshit of a midnight release and getting my game and nerding out and seeing people like old mate, right? And if Cyberpunk 2077 has a midnight launch, which I dare say they probably will, I'll fucking go. And I want to see old mate there. You know what I mean? I'll be like, yeah, it's complete. You know, like, there's very few games in the horizon.
He'll be there collecting his fucking jacket.
He'll get the one with the statue. If there's one with a statue, old mate will buy it. He got the best of the best, old mate. But I don't know, man. I that's the only reason why I still buy the discs, is because of that. Like, I don't like this streaming idea with Stadia, the Google one. I don't like it.
I think the problem with streaming games is, so I've tried a few of them over the generations, and the problem is that, like, you can still tell with the latency, and, like, especially being in Australia, that's not going to improve just, physics.
No.
So
Because
I'm not a big fan. I'm at the point now where, because my home internet's so bad, I have to use 4G. Which basically means I won't play online games anymore because it's just
you can't
sit there with a 200 ping. It's just like I feel like I'm in 1999 again on 56k modem.
But even if, let's say, from a wonder of science, the internet connection was up to snuff, and you could easily stream your game at 4K 60 and you didn't have any latency. Let's say it was wonderful. I don't like it because I don't own anything. That's my view in the world, right? The reason why I still buy discs is that I own it. Now, what's the value of it? It's probably not much value at all, because you can trade those discs in, or you could sell them on eBay for basically nothing. But the point is, I own it, right? And what they're doing with streaming is they're taking that away from me, and I don't like it. I live with it for music because of convenience, because I can Spotify something and play a list of whatever it's picked up as my trends of my consumption habits with music.
But you say that now for music, but the same thing's going to happen for gaming.
It will happen, but I don't like it.
Well, that was the thing that Microsoft got criticised with the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Like, so when they originally announced it, it was like, you're not going to own your game, you're going to rent them, it's all going to be online only. And it was only when everybody kicked off that they kind of reneged, but it was already too late. But obviously, the recent announcements have all been moving back to that.
But you know what? Microsoft were a little bit too early on the scene with that. And I think I'll defend them slightly. And I've said this in the past. When the Xbox One came out, I can understand their methods to their madness, because they would have seen the numbers on how many Xbox 360s were connected to the internet. And they would have said most of our users are connected to the internet doing something. And what we're saying is, we want you to connect to the internet even more, right? But the way they did it was very poor. The way they communicated it was very poor. And they had it wrapped up in a whole bunch of other bullshit, like the Kinect and all that other stuff. People didn't want it, okay? But if you were to pull that move in 2019, 2020, you'd probably get away with it now. Like, if you...
Well, we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. But if they came out today and they said, you have to connect the Scarlett to the internet all the time for it to work properly, I think most people would be more accepted. They could accept that more than they could back in 2013. What people are now struggling with is, you have to stream your games. People are struggling with that.
Well, and
You know
I think
what
really
mean?
Scarlett is the middle piece. It's more of a hybrid model. So you're going to have a very powerful box, but some of the rendering and stuff will happen in the back end. So going back to you will always need to be connected to the internet, I can see that being a reality.
I can see that being a reality too.
Well, there's a lot of PC games now that do that. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's been criticising Ubisoft for it for years. But, like it's the way that they.
And you know what? The other thing is too, this is the reality of it, and I know people don't want to hear it, but if you're not connecting to the internet, your game is gimped because you're not getting those patch updates, right? So somewhere along the line, the developer's updating that game for some reason. It might be like a minor reason, like maybe adding a new game plus feature or a photo mode feature, but 9 times out of 10, it's to fix some bullshit they found in the back end when they've released it. So if you're not connecting to the internet, there is a very big chance that you're going to come across some kind of bug, right? And that's why these games constantly get updated. Like even on the PS4, I'll log on there and all the time there's some kind of update for something, right?
My biggest problem with my PS4 at the moment is like every time I turn it on, I'm waiting for 10 minutes. It's
At
like,
least.
It's like, I'm going to download the newest version, then I'm going to update your game. And it's just like,
Yeah, but do you leave it on standby?
It is, but for some reason, some of the updates they'll download, but they won't install. So, like, it sits there and it's still going to go through that whole process.
You know what? My big gripe with the PS4 is, and this is what I hope they improve in the future with the PS5 is, if you're going to update it, install the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Don't
Just
install.
do it. Just fucking do it. Yeah.
Don't let me execute the fucking game, right? And then you start to install it, or give me some bullshit message saying, "Well, if you don't install it now, some features might not work." Because I get that a lot too, and that does bug me, and I'll agree with you on that. Because if it's on standby, why isn't it actually updating itself fully? Why does it have to wait for me to execute the game? I don't understand. But I'm not a developer. I don't know how
it's
this
like,
shit
you
works.
have to sign into the PlayStation Network. It's like, well, why don't you just do that?
Exactly.
Why don't you just stay
why don't you just
signed
do
in?
it? Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that. And look, my concern with this generation of consoles, well, we're going to talk about that now, if we want to talk about that now, is they came very dangerously close to PCs, and a lot of the convenience of traditional consoles went away.
Yep.
So what you could argue, again, I prefer better definition with my graphics, I prefer better frame rates. I'm with you on that. I'm not going to argue with that, right? But the one thing I always liked about any console, Mega Drive, whatever it was, I turned it on, I put the game in, and it was away. And I didn't have bullshit, right? But this generation, they're effectively PCs, and more than the previous generation, say your PS3 and Xbox 360, this generation, I see more updates, I see more system updates, and when I turn my console on, oh, fuck, it wants to do this. And you're right, I just want to play my game. I don't want to have to sit here for half an hour now while it's telling me you need to do this, or you need to do that. Well, why didn't you do it when I had you on standby? And look, there's probably a really good reason for it. I don't know what it is, but it does bug me too. Because if you're going to be like that, you might as well be a PC. You know?
I don't know. Like for me, it's going to be an interesting one as we go to the next generation, because I think if they can actually improve the convenience, because for whatever criticisms there are of Steam, and there are many, like these days it just works and you never think about it. And I find my PS4 more irritating for it, but there is a lot of advantage to sitting there on a sofa with a controller and a big TV.
That's why I do it. That's why I do it.
Though you might not like the game, like Red Dead for me was one of the first ones where I played it, and I was going through it and genuinely just thinking, you know what, these graphics are good enough.
Yeah.
Is my PC objectively better? Yes. Is it objectively better in enough that's going to make me care? You know what, it's probably not.
So I've said this before.
Steadier frame rates, all of those things. Like the things they're talking about with Scarlett, and it's like, oh, we'll do 120 frames a second and 8K, and it's like, you know what, it's probably going to be enough. Like,
this is what I was saying before on a previous podcast. If these boxes sound like they're going to be expensive, they're going to go for $500, right? But if you're going to put a Ryzen Generation 2 or Ryzen 2 CPU in there with a Navi GPU, that's the latest and greatest stuff, apart from the CPU. CPU's now gone to, they just released a Gen 3, haven't they? AMD. But let's argue.
I want one.
I want. But here's the thing.
16 cores. Yes.
Navi's
That's a lot of cores.
Navi's brand new, right? Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Well, it's not even out yet.
It's not even out, right? If they put that onto an APU and they give you they're giving you an SSD, So again, you're right. What you just said is perfectly right. If that machine for $500 US dollars gives you a performance advantage over what we've got today, which it absolutely will, and it gives you a performance advantage with all the convenience that we have with consoles, or we should have with consoles, but it's just a little bit maybe not quite as good as a top-end PC or maybe a middle-range PC, who gives a fuck if it's convenient? That's my argument, right? Yes, I'll always get better definition, I'll always get better frame rates, I'll always get better, resolution on a PC because I can spend as much as I want, right? I can spend $1,000 just on a graphics card if I want.
I wish it was only $1,000.
I was going to say mine's over 1,000.
If I want, I can spend $1,500, can't I?
Easy.
Yes.
So if the sky's the limit, right?
And 3 and 4.
The sky's the limit. Yeah. And you're right, that will blow anything they do for the next generation out of the water when it comes to these new systems. But they're not asking you to spend $1,500 just for a graphics card, right? If they ask you to spend, I think they're going to go for $700 here because the rumors are $500 US.
Which isn't bad.
What was the PS4 at launch?
Oh, they were cheaper. They were $399 US. And about 500 Australian.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good when you think about it.
Yeah. Right. So, but these are going to be a much bigger jump in terms of hardware, I think, than what we got with
I think what's going to be interesting with them as well is like, because the last gen, like architecturally was so close to being a PC.
Yeah.
Like normally when
and a pretty weak PC.
They were like all right.
Yeah,
like,
they were okay. Yeah,
like our frame of reference for what's a good PC isn't the same as most people's. Like most people sit there with their little 1050 graphics card that costs like $200 and whatever. But it was roughly equivalent to that sort of thing at that point in time. But I think what will be interesting is like those generation, like every console generation when they first come out. The first games are terrible, and they're terrible because they don't know how to program for it. They don't know how to get the advantage. They don't know how to do all the tweaks that are going to optimize the performance, which is why even over 5-6 years, you still get big like fidelity jumps. But I think because it's going to be architecturally similar, I suspect that it won't be the same this time, that they will just come out and be parity with
Well, that was the big thing with the PS4 and the Xbox One. When they came out, they're x86 based machines.
Yep.
Okay. And people were running around going, well, if Battlefield 4, I think it was only running at 900p on both systems, don't worry about it. The developers will unlock its potential. But what the reality was that, no, they already have, because they're x86 based PC, or basically PCs, highly customized ones. There is no secret sauce. There might be a little bit here and there, but that's it. You know what I mean?
I just think it takes time for the game engines to catch up.
But back in the old days, just to keep my frame thoughts here, when you had the PS3, that thing was fucking alien hardware, man. That cell processor...
Aliens.
Interdimensional aliens came and they gave Ken Kutaragi the ability to create a CPU for the PS3 we haven't used here at Infowars.com.
What if, instead of having one processor, we had 8?
They're fucking insane. Mate, Ken Kutaragi must have done a line of coke off a fucking hooker's ass.
LSD.
And you know what? You know
shrooming the shit out.
Do you know the story with that? He went to Sony. This is no bullshit. I read this. He went to Sony and said, I think the cell processor in the PS3 is powerful enough with it. They're called... So there's individual processors inside the cell called SPs, not suppressive personalities, SP processors. It's capable of doing graphics on its own. It doesn't need a GPU. And Sony went, no, you fucking lost it, Ken. We need a GPU in there. And all the developers said, no, we need a GPU, Ken. What the fuck? You've lost it. And at the last minute, Sony decided to put a GPU into the thing, but it was a weak-ass GPU. It had to be to keep the cost down. But it was also a last-minute effort to try and put something into it. And so from day one, developers were like, this thing's a fucking debacle because, one, the cell processor is totally different from anything we've ever played with before. And if we want to use this GPU you've put into it, it's actually pretty weak. And you don't have unified system memory. All this bullshit. And so that's why Sony... When Mark Cerny came into the picture and was the lead architect for the PS4, he went, fuck that shit. I'm going to go into AMD. I'm going to treat it like a Walmart. And I'm going to say, I want that and I want this, and I want that, and I want to put it into a box, and that's what they basically did. It was highly customized as well, but it was basically an x86 APU, Advanced Processing Unit. That's what they put into it, right? And that made the developers really happy because they could go, oh, it's like developing for a PC. Cool. But the problem is there was no secret sauce left in the tank, really, not a lot. And so when the early games that we got, yeah, they got improved as time went on, but they didn't have that monumental leap like we did back in the previous generation. Those very first PS3 games and those very first Xbox 360 games are night and day different from the last generation of 360 games and PS3 games. Night and day, right? Particularly on the PS3. Once they finally worked out how to unlock the potential of that thing, the games look totally different. It's almost like a different machine.
When you look at like The Last of Us.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great one. So look at The Last of Us compared to Uncharted 1, right? Night and day difference. It's almost like, is this the same machine I'm playing it on?
Yeah.
But we won't necessarily ever see that again. Not as much. Because these machines are going to give us are going to be pretty much highly customized PCs, and yeah, they can tweak them, and yeah, they can do some funky tricks with them. But I don't think it will ever get that dynamic leap that we have.
I think there's still opportunities though. Like
there is, I agree with that.
So what you're talking about is effectively developer productivity, and when you're ever doing anything with software, that's actually the overriding factor, is what people can be productive with. But what the newer generation will have is that a lot of game development these days comes down to the middleware. So it's effectively the things that generate the trees, that do the procedural textures, and it's all of those things. And so up until now, they've not been able to do middleware in a way that's multi-core and can take use of these larger processors. And so I suspect what will happen is over the next 5 years, those will become more of a thing, that dream that they had with Cell, where they'd go, oh, well, we can have the AI for the things running on one cell and another one. I suspect that it will come that the middleware will enable them to do that.
Yeah.
They can focus on the stuff on top, and then they'll look massively better from the beginning to the end, because you're limited by textures and everything else, but there'll be a richer
Somebody's
experience.
just come out with an article on that. I don't know if it was Cerny or somebody, some lead architect somewhere. It might have even been from Microsoft. Can't remember the exact source of it. And mind you, what I've just said, I speak out of my ass, because I don't have your background where I'm not a technical person. I only know this shit because I'm a nerd and I read too much. And I've got way too much time on my hands, so I've done some research on it. But somewhere...
A few chats with old mate.
And a couple of chats with old mate while playing Magic the Gathering. But no, somewhere along the way in the last week or two, someone's written an article saying the next generation won't show you a massive leap in graphical fidelity. It'll be better, higher resolution, better frame rates. But just as you said, what the real potential is with the better, particularly in the processor department, they're able to do better things with AI. And they're able to do better things with maps and better things with that sort of stuff.
But not just that. The fact that they'll be able to render a lot more in the cloud as well. So a lot of that AI piece could actually be calling off services in the cloud, and then that's called upon inside the game in real time, and then you're freeing up processor capabilities, and then you're able to apply that to other things.
Well, the learning in the cloud as well, like machine learning, and like you could imagine, and it's making me shudder thinking about it, but do a Dark Souls where it learns how to beat you by what everybody's doing. So all of the things just...
Yeah, but so
basically, or think about, first-person shooters.
Fighting Skynet.
Yeah, but you know what?
Exactly. You become,
But I think the big thing will be, initially anyway, will be that with the architecture that at least Sony's announced, and what Microsoft's basically confirmed that they're running too, you're going to immediately see better frame rates on console hardware, because the CPUs on the APU that they use today, that Jaguar CPU, is rubbish. And it was never designed to do what it's currently doing. It was designed to actually go into mobile equipment like tablets, right? So it's really weak stuff. But AMD didn't have the technology back then to supply either Sony or Microsoft with a processor like the Ryzen chip on an APU. Advanced Processing Unit. So that's a big jump. That's before you even talk about what they've got with GPUs. That's before you talk about having an SSD into it. So I'm excited about it. I actually think if they sell a thing like that for $500,
It'll be a fucking beast.
right, and it costs us say $700-800, right? I think it's awesome value for money. I think that's what they're looking at. They're looking at. There's also a rumor that particularly Sony looked at the success of Microsoft with their Xbox One X and how people were prepared to pay $500 mid-generation for a refreshed console and see it as a premium device, right? And I think they've gone, you know what? People are willing to pay a little bit extra to get a lot better performance. I think that's what they've looked at, and they've said, you know what?
Like a 32X, we'll just slot.
Yeah.
CD32, wasn't it?
Yeah.
32X, I've got one. It's a disaster. But you know what? I'm looking forward to it. But the question will be, do you think Cyberpunk 2077 will be what do they call it? A remastered edition for the PS5 / Scarlett? I think.
Well, I think
it will be.
Well, I think that's just going to be whatever the PC version is in April, right?
Yeah.
So the ones that they release for those consoles at the end of the year will have those extra shiny bits.
I just want it now, man.
Same. It's if you could bring all, and especially with the like whole neon Blade Runner-ish type thing, like you can imagine when they bring the lighting, like the what do you call the ray tracing.
Ray tracing.
Well, that's big. When they announced ray tracing for a console, that's huge because they've only just released ray tracing in the last 6 months or year.
And it's terrible on PC as well. Like it runs like crap.
Yeah, it does. It's killed the performance of PCs. But when they announced it on a console, I went, shit, they're serious about this now. And then when they said, oh, we're also shipping with SSDs, I've gone, they're not mucking around with this stuff now. Because I think, look, unfortunately, I think it's a swan song for the consoles. I think it's going to be a really nice send-off in terms of hardware because you could debate and argue till the cows come home that 5 years after the consoles get released in 2020, you'll be looking at streaming, right? That's a reality, I think, or a very possible reality. And if it comes to that, you can quote me now, if I'm still around on the planet, fuck streaming, I'll go back to PC gladly. I'll build another PC. I've built many in the past, or I've had people build it for me. I'll happily play on hardware as opposed to streaming. Fuck it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a PC or a console.
Even if that means you have to deal with Steam again?
I can live with Steam, I just don't like its policies. Look, I've said on record, I don't know if you heard what I said with Steam, and I'm sure you probably can debate me on it, and I'm happy to have a debate on it. My problem with Steam is they've done nothing with it, right? And they've got caught out. And now Epic Game Store is a reality, and people are complaining that things are going exclusively to Epic Game Store, right? But that's the marketplace, you know what I mean? The developers are getting a better deal. What's shitty about it, I don't know if you know about this, but EaseNet, who are the publishers for Shenmue 3, have just pulled the rug underneath everybody that pre-ordered it on Steam and have announced that it's going exclusive on the Epic Game Store. And there's no real talk of refunds, and that is bullshit.
Yeah, that's
bad, right? And I do agree that's poor, right? And I don't know who's to blame on that. I'm assuming it's EaseNet, but whoever it is, that's really bad, and they need to look at refunding those people because that's a Kickstarter that was probably back in the works from 2016, I think, when it was first announced.
I backed it on PC,
and I backed it as well. But I've got a PS4 copy coming. But the point is that if you've and Metro Exodus was the other one. When they said initially it was, I think it was Metro Exodus. It was originally a Steam only or a Steam title or a Steam available title, and then all of a sudden it went across to the Epic Game Store. So my problem isn't the competitive nature of the marketplace because I think Steam really needed competition. I'll agree with you that the issue is that you can't take one off the other and not refund people that have pre-ordered it on the original storefront. That's bad, right? If you've paid money or you've put your money down or pre-ordered something on a storefront such as Steam and then later on find out that that's not available on that platform anymore and you don't have any way of getting your money reimbursed to you, that's bad, right? But I'd say illegal.
I think it probably would be found to be illegal.
Yeah.
Like the only reason Steam does refunds in Australia is because they were forced to.
Well, have you heard that the ACCC are suing Sony? You heard about this?
No.
So the ACCC, so the Anti-Corruption Consumer Commission,
yeah.
are suing Sony for their refund practices. So Sony
Or
recently
lack
they recently updated their refund practices on their PSN store, which was basically that if I bought a game on PSN and I hadn't played it yet and I decided, oh shit, I didn't want that game or I've already got it or something, whatever, they will refund it, but they'll put the money back into your online wallet. And the ACCC are looking at saying it's anti-consumer, it should go back to your credit card, which I think is fair.
Yep.
So I hope the ACCC do sue Sony over that, or do at least get Sony to change their refund policies. And you know who else will follow suit will be Nintendo, because they don't have a fucking refund policy to speak of. And in fact, it was bodies like the ACCC in other parts of the world that made Steam change their bullshit refund policies. The EU changed it, right? Because without that, Steam would do whatever the fuck they wanted, right? But now they've actually arguably got the better refund policy of any other platform. Maybe
I still wish there was the drop-down option for it's shit.
Yes.
It's like, oh, that's not suitable or not what I expected.
Yeah.
I expected
They
it
allow
to
you
not
to
be
play
shit.
it.
I expected it to be playable.
They allow you to play it for 2 hours, don't they? And then you can.
Yeah, 2 hours or for up to 2 weeks after buying it. So 2 weeks after it's launched.
Okay.
Because a few people, like, as you're saying, like their customer service isn't the best, and so some people had like pre-ordered games, launched them. There was one that was quite famously No Man's Sky. So when that was first released, a lot of people bought it, pre-ordered it, asked for the
Well, a lot of people got
refund, but
hoodwinked.
they were like, "Oh, well, you bought that over 2 weeks ago." It's
Yep.
like, but I've been playing it 20 minutes.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people got hoodwinked on No Man's Sky.
It's actually not bad.
It's actually pretty good now. I've got it on
like
PC.
it.
Yeah.
I got. Look, I'm guilty as charged. I got hoodwinked on it as well when it first came out, but I blame Sony on that because they made it out to be bigger than Ben-Hur. Because what I really, really want is another Wing Commander game. I want something like
No
Wing
Man's Sky is not
Commander,
Wing
or
Commander.
I want TIE
Well,
Fighter.
none of us are going to be alive when Star Citizen comes
Yeah,
out.
fuck, I tell you what, that's bullshit too. That's crap. I cannot believe. Can I tell you a story? I used to work with a bloke who spent thousands of dollars on buying ships that he supposedly was testing, and I said to him, I'm not smart and I'm not into the PC sphere as much as I used to be, so I'm a bit out of touch on that shit. Are you playing the game? Oh, no, I'm beta testing or I'm doing some alpha testing for this ship, but when it comes to retail, I keep everything I've got. I said, but what the fuck? How much money have you spent? He reckons he spent thousands of dollars for a game that isn't even out yet. You're fucking insane.
It's not even in beta.
It's not even exactly. It's not even that far along. And this has been going for how long? How long's Star Citizen been going?
6 years. Because that was the thing. So when they did the kits,
That's Chris Roberts, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
So Mr. Wing Commander.
Mr. Wing Commander,
But
yeah.
Mr. can't release a game as well.
Exactly,
So every
yeah.
time he's had a game released, it's because the publishers cracked the shits with him and taken it off and launched it. But like they did the Kickstarter for Star Citizen at roughly the same time that they did the one for Elite. And so they were both raising money at the same time. Elite went with a much smaller scope. They iterated over a time to build it. Now they're ramping that down, and it's looking fairly likely that Elite 2 will be out before Star Citizen's been launched at all.
That's fucking
What do you think is going to happen with that? What do you think is going to happen with Star Citizen? Do you think he's going to get dragged into some kind of courtroom and say, explain yourself, or what's going to
I
happen?
don't think there's anything that can really happen. Like, there's no recourse. That's the problem. Like, all of these things, it's effectively classed as a donation. Like, somebody might, like, could you possibly scrape up a class action against it? Maybe, but
What are you gonna get
they
out
can
of
still
it?
demonstrate progress. But yeah, it's
there's gotta be-
and it's a weird cult, like that whole community as well. That like
The
every
Kickstarter
time,
community?
No, the around Star Citizen.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
You read, and anybody that attacks them, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, but nobody's trying to do all of
Yeah.
this. It's like,
Well,
that's
when-
because nobody's mental.
When I was working with this guy, he used to come up to me and print out, oh, mate, I'm telling you, this is another world. He's a bit touched as well. He used to print out...
He touched me here
He touched me there and he touched me here.
in the bum hole.
On the buttocks. But he used to print out the ships that he purchased because he knew I used to like playing games. And I said to him, look, man, I don't play PC games at the moment. I'm playing on the 360. This is back a few years ago. This is how long it is, right? I reckon this is going back 6 years ago. No bullshit. Because he'd come with like a list of, oh, I bought this ship last night. I go, what do you mean bought it? I bought it for this game. Star Citizen.
It's one you can't play yet.
I go, but a game you can't play, you're buying shit on it. He goes, yeah. I go, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like, I'll play the game. I said to him, look, I'll play this game when it's in a box.
Okay, development began in 2011.
There you go. And I was talking to this guy, I reckon,
Daikatana.
I was talking to this guy around about 2013, 14, maybe 15 on it. And he would literally do this repeatedly, mate. He would be spending money on different classes of ships, or he got onto some program where you do testing for it. He was right hardcore into it. And I said, look, I'm only interested in any game when it's available on the shelf at a shop, or I can download it on a PC. That's it. If I can't download it on Steam or wherever it's going to be, one of those multiple launches on the PC, I am not interested in it at all, right? Because it's not a finished product. What are you playing? What is this?
Yeah,
you know,
I regret it. Like, I did back the Kickstarter, so
Did you? Okay.
I do own Star Citizen theoretically, but like, it's just dead money to me now. Like,
You'll be an old man by the time it comes out.
Yeah, it'll never come out.
Like, so I don't know if you guys ever saw EVE Online.
Yes,
Yep.
that was
Yeah.
a big community too.
Yeah, so EVE Online I was very, very into, to like the point that I went to like the fan fest that they have in Iceland
Jesus.
and all of this stuff. It was mostly an excuse to go to Iceland. And,
Yeah, fair enough.
like, I've got good friends that I met through that. So that whole thing of Star Citizen, it was like, this could be the next one, boys. Like, we could get into this, but it's just
vapor.
Were you into
It's
Elite?
vaporware.
so Elite, loved the first one. I used to, like, so when I was at school, I used to finish my work just so I could go and play it on the BBC microcomputer. Frontier Elite, which was the second one, is probably still my most played game ever. So I was full on hyper focus for years playing that. The one after was a bit crap.
Is that Elite Dangerous?
No, so there was another one that was after Frontier Elite, which was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a couple of years later, but there was all sorts of development problems because Ian Bell and David Braben had fallen out and in a big way, and so they just launched it and it was a bug-ridden mess. And then, Elite Dangerous came out in like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, it's on the consoles as well.
And it's good, but for me, I found that they went to this weird place where it was kind of online and kind of not, and when it wasn't, it was faking that it was, and so it doesn't have the same thing of just being able to get into it and play and having to stress out about, can I just turn this off and all of the other stuff. And I just didn't find it hooked in the same way. And I've been back to it a couple of times since, so I've got like all the expansion packs and everything, but it's just never really hooked in the same way. But also is a VR game that is very, very good on VR. Just unfortunately not so much with the Vive.
Okay.
So the Oculus and the Vive, they have a different rendering technique, and the Vive's is better for a lot of things, but the Oculus's is clearer for things like text. And so when you're playing that game and you're trying to read the GUI, you can't on the Vive. Like, it took them like a year and a bit of just doing these release until anything was readable, because it was just like this blurry screen-doored mess. But
Which is why DCS is the way DCS is, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like the VR doesn't have the resolution yet to be able to do those sorts of things, and with the different rendering styles.
So what's your take on VR? Because I've got mixed feelings on it, to be honest.
I love it. I think it's the future. I spent a good chunk
It's the future, Jerry.
I spent a good chunk of time trying to do a business that was inspired by VR and some of the things that were going to be possible. But I think there's great experiences to be had, but there's a lot of weaknesses that are mostly down to the technology. So if you compare doing like the like HTC Vive or a Rift, like, they're great and they've got the sensors that enable you to get the great experience, but the resolution isn't that great. Whereas you play like even just the Google Cardboard thing that you whack over the front of your phone doesn't have a lot of the same problems because the screens are so much higher quality, but then the positioning's terrible. So I think as long as they don't stop the investment into it, I think next few years it will kind of come off, but now it's just niche and not really there. Like, until you get to the can't remember the company's name, there's the crazy scam company that's done the done their augmented reality. Magic Leap, that was it.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, who were definitely not a scam to any lawyers working, but
we don't give a fuck about lawyers.
But yeah, so the Magic Leap's got it's got the form factor down. So the form factor is almost, it's like the HoloLens, but taken the next further. So it's basically like cyberpunk goggles over your face, but still doesn't have the technology. So I think once they've covered those things off, it will be there. So as an experience, it's unsurpassed. Like you sit there like freaking out on your TV, like you sit there playing a flight sim and you're freaking out because you're doing a loop the loop, and it's amazing. But it's just not the technology to support it.
Yeah, I was telling you before upstairs, I've got the PSVR, which I think is probably the most consumer friendly, affordable VR unit.
That's the easiest way to get into.
It's the easiest way to get into VR.
Yeah.
It's not the best, but it's the easiest way to get into VR. But my experience with VR, and I'm going to try it again because maybe it was the time that I was doing it, but I had that funny, weird, nauseous sensation come over me when I was playing Rush of Blood, which was like you're in a roller coaster and you're moving, well, your mind says you're moving, but you're physically not moving. So, yeah, I wanted to hurl in the living room.
I think those are the things that will ultimately limit it. Like, a lot of it is down to what your body can handle.
Yeah.
So it's like travel sickness. Like, some people get it, some people don't. I don't feel it at all. Like, I sit there and like it might twist my mind a bit when I do a loop the loop, but I don't get sick. And I've never played a first person shooter and got motion sickness either. Where I've had friends who like they can't play because they'll just start.
I've known many people that tell me they can't play FPSs because they get motion sickness, and I've never had motion sickness ever in anything.
There was one game.
What was that?
What was that game where you're in the mid-90s? Oh, fuck. It's
Descent?
Descent.
Descent.
Descent was the one that fucked you up.
That was a bit of a 360 thing.
Yeah, I love that game.
I've never had that real feeling, but then when I was playing one or two games on PS...
That was the first game I got for PlayStation, actually.
Really?
Descent.
Descent.
Pretty
you know
cool.
they're bringing it back? You know it's coming back?
Is it?
Is it?
Yes.
I
Descent.
think I saw something, but I think I'm thinking older.
It's coming back. I couldn't tell you offhand, because I'm not Googling anything, whether it's a reboot or it's a new edition.
They
in
could
the
do
series.
Descent and Red Faction, like merge those together.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
But Descent's coming back. But yeah, look, I'm really interested to see what Sony's going to do with PSVR for the PS5, because there's rumours that they're getting rid of that post-processing unit. That's going to be internal. So that gets rid of one extra box you got to hook up. If they can just eliminate half the fucking wires that stick out of your head, I'll be happy, because that's the big barrier of entry for me, is dealing with all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Clear that away, I'm happy. You know what the ultimate would be? You've seen Black Mirror?
Yep.
You know when they put the little things on the side of their head, the little dots on the side of their head, and they get transported into...
I'm not sure I've seen that episode, but...
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's what I want. You know, that's what I want.
I can't watch Black Mirror a lot. I find it too depressing. It's like, can we have a happy episode, please?
Well, you know...
It's like Charlie Brooker's, basically.
Well, they just released the new season of it. It's only 3 episodes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
I bet it's not happy. Is it a bit dystopian?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it a bit?
Must be something about the English. I don't know what it is.
Something about Charlie Brooker, even with his amazingly pretty wife.
He's fucking miserable, because I'm telling you, they're all like a bit... One of them's got Miley Cyrus in it.
Right.
No bullshit, right? And I'm telling you now, I'm calling it, she isn't aging well at all. She's only, I'd say, early 20s?
Well, she smokes and does drugs.
She sounds like she smokes a pack a day at a minimum. She's got a deeper voice than I fucking do. That's no bullshit, right?
She's smashing a dozer.
She's smashing many a dozer, and she's got that real haggard look already. She won't age well. You know who she...
Liam Hemsworth's going to be cut in a few
You know who she reminds me of?
Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same track.
Yes, but another...
Pre-GTA 5
But
cover.
another actress. This is going to push your memory here.
Just remember, I'm a lot younger.
You are a lot younger than me, but we might have to Google it. Kathleen Turner, who was in Romancing the Stone, she played opposite Michael Douglas in the 80s, right? In her younger days, she was quite attractive. Then menopause hit her, and she fell off a fucking cliff. And now she's got a pack-a-day smoking voice, right? And she looks like Jabba the Hutt on a fucking good day.
Maybe
And
she's got some Asian genes, like just great, looks young, menopause. 50 years, shrinks 2 feet.
I'm not going to do it because I've been called racist, and I'm in a self-improvement program. So I'm not going to go, what problem?
What's your problem?
Oh, what problem? I can't help myself.
It's just an observation.
I know.
Just an observation.
Well, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what I'm saying is you can see that she's starting to lose that cutesy... You know when she was doing, what is
She's
it?
only like
A bag of...
25.
I was going to say, a bag of
I'm telling
cocaine
you
a day
now,
will do that to you.
watch the episode she's in, which is, I think, the first or second episode of the new series.
Yeah, I need to see that. I
It's
forgot
only
it was
three.
on.
There's only
Yeah.
3 of them. It's not a bad episode, and she's quite good in it. What I'm saying is, you'll watch it and go, yeah, I want to see you when you're in your 40s and go, you lost your fucking... What is it? What was it? What was it?
The elasticity in her skin.
No, what was the show that she was in? Everyone loves... Not
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana. That's it.
I've heard.
You fucking know.
Bullshit. Nah.
Maybe it'll be like Kim Basinger, though, where like very, very pretty when she's younger,
And still-
goes through a lot, rough patch, went rough.
When-
All of a sudden,
when was that?
magically emerged with the whole set of plastic surgery and looks really nice. Yeah.
When was she in the rough patch?
Like late 90s, like
Oh, Batman era?
like post what was that school one, the Gangster's Paradise.
Oh, yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Like, so there was the few years after that where
She lost it?
She not that she lost it, like she was okay, but
Just fuckable.
yeah,
There's
it's
so
Kim
many.
Basinger. But
There's so many like that.
you look at her now and it's like 15 years later. It's like, how are you more attractive now than you were 15 years ago?
Yeah.
They all have work, and you can tell they've had work. You know who else has had work, I reckon? Nicole Kidman, for sure.
Yeah, I think you'd struggle to find the real bits of Nicole Kidman these days.
She looks fake as fuck. I'm telling you now, she don't look real.
Well, they think the rumor is that she's got scleria or something.
Oh, like
that's-
Michael
Oh,
Jackson
really?
had.
the tight skin thing, that's why she looks a bit skeleton-like.
Yeah, she doesn't look good, mate. I think
You
that's
know,
what,
she reminds me of it's like Beetlejuice. It's just that
Yeah.
same sort.
But you know what? Days, she does. But you know what? Days of Thunder, she was hot.
She was.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Days of
Wasn't
Thunder.
she like 20 when
Yeah,
she did that?
she was. Yeah, of course she was. But that's why Tom Cruise was like in love with her. No,
No, it's not. It's like, oh, you need a career. I can give you that if you just if
Yeah,
you mask
you know
my
what?
background.
You know what the story is on that bullshit? No bullshit. Tom Cruise recognised she was a suppressive personality. No, that's no bullshit. You know who else was? His other wife, Katie Holmes. Was it Katie Holmes?
Yeah.
She didn't want to be part of the church. That's no bullshit. Because I watched a documentary on it, and she got out and he kicked her out. No, because she didn't want to be part of it, and neither did Nicole.
Who wants to be part of it? It's clearly fucking bollocks.
I do, because I want to be like the leader. I want to be the leader of the world via... I want to meet the alien that comes down.
You got to
None of
create
us-
your own.
But none of us can afford that though, because it's like you've got to pay.
Yeah, that's the best thing.
$200,000.
That's the best thing.
to-
We want to help you be enlightened, but have you got a couple of million on you? Oh, yeah, of course I fucking do. You know?
What a fucking load of shit.
Well, I don't know.
Gotta start your
Well,
own
that was the
successful.
rumor, though, wasn't it? That it was like he wrote the book as a bet that who can start something that would
That's
raise
right,
$1
he
million
did.
for the families.
Yeah.
So
Have you read any of his books at all?
They're all shit.
I started reading Battlefield Earth.
That's the only one that's
the
decent.
only one that's actually good. I didn't mind it, but I tell you what, it's over 1,000 pages. It's hard work to do it.
He's no Arthur C. Clarke.
No. But Battlefield Earth wasn't bad. But I couldn't tell you what else he read. But you know what started all that was Dianetics. He wrote a book called Dianetics.
Right.
And that most people will actually say that was a book that actually was used or was trying to promote how to expand your mind via meditation and stuff like that. And some people will say, even the critics of Scientology will say, it's actually not a bad book. But then he took those concepts from his book Dianetics and he went fucking off the wall and came up with Scientology.
No, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew it was all bollocks. He was in it for the
I actually
money.
think it's his other mate, the guy that runs it, which is Miscavige.
He's a fucking nightmare.
David Miscavige. You know how that prick? He's a fucking maniac. You know he
The
wanted.
rumoured sex pest.
Yeah, but he also wanted his father killed. No, because his father Ron Miscavige was on the Rogan podcast, and I've read the book as well. What happened was, David Miscavige got private investigators to track the whereabouts of his father after he left the church, and because once you leave the church, you're disconnected, right? Because you're a suppressive personality. So what
Back to
happened?
John Wick, excommunicado.
Yeah, we'll fucking get this. We'll get on the excommunicado. So what happened was he had private investigators looking for his, making sure his father wasn't doing anything untoward, against the church. And anyway, he was doing something or shopping, and he was putting something into the boot of his car, or trunk of his car, as they say over there. And he had his mobile phone in his top pocket, and as he bent forward, his phone was going to fall out. And the natural instinct is you sort of grab your pocket so your phone doesn't fall out onto the ground. And what happened was the private investigator thought his father was having a heart attack. And so he phoned up David Miscavige. There's no bullshit. This is in his book, right? And he says to David Miscavige, I think your father's having a heart attack. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to intervene and call 911? And David Miscavige said, no, fuck him. Let him die. He's a SP, he's a suppressive personality. And so obviously it was not what was going on. He was just his phone was dropping out of a thing. And so I think the private investigator went, this is fucked up. I can't live with myself. And he actually told Ron, the father, this is what happened. This is what your son said. And that's how it all kicked off, where he wrote a book about his son, saying his son's out of control. His son's like a maniac. He's only in it for money, only in it for power. It's not even about what L. Ron Hubbard wrote. So you could argue that L. Ron Hubbard was a maniac, and he was. But now this guy's taken that bullshit and run to the fucking hills with it, and he's making up all sorts of stories. Like he's turned it into a religion, and he did that so that they didn't have to pay tax.
Found another book written on gold.
Yeah, no, he did. Like
that magically broke and disappeared, and nobody ever saw them ever again.
And he turned it into a religion.
Fuck me.
I think it was in the 90s.
We found another one. You're allowed. Oh no, we don't like multiple wives anymore.
Yeah, but that's how it is.
It's okay if you're black. It doesn't mean that you've been tarnished.
Oh, see, that's racist, man. I'm not going down that path.
No, I'm just saying that this is exactly what certain churches believe.
Yeah, I know. But he's taken those original concepts that L. Ron Hubbard wrote, and he's turned it into a religion, which was never really the idea that L. Ron Hubbard had. That's the word on the street. L. Ron Hubbard had this one idea based on Dianetics, which was a failed self-help book that he'd written in the 70s or something like that. And he'd taken those concepts and created this other thing called Scientology. But this David Miscavige somehow over the years rose to power and became the default leader of it. And now he's turned it into religion because one, power, two, money, and religion so they don't have to pay tax. So they actually they won a court case against the IRS to prove that they're a religion so they don't have to pay tax. Because if you're a church, you don't pay tax, which is bullshit. But that's another story.
It is bullshit.
But anyway, John Wick. We're talking about it upstairs.
We were.
I fucking love the first movie, and I just saw the third movie, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's
a bit, to me, it's a return to form.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the second one, it was a bit off. It's just a bit off.
I really like the second movie.
The second one, I really liked the universe building that they had. Like, they had little hints.
But it was off.
Yeah, it's not a great film. It was kind of like we tried to redo the first with a different bad guy and then did the others, and it didn't really vibe. The third one, for me, it kind of reminded me of Kill Bill. That you remember with Kill Bill, like the concept that went behind it was that there was like 7 genres of film, and so basically Tarantino wanted to have the best fight for each one of these genres, and so John Wick for me, or John Wick 3, was kind of like that they're basically like, right, we need to have a knife fight. So we're going to have the most ridiculously over-the-top knife fight that you've ever seen in any film. And so, like, there was the best knife fight, the best, I can't even remember, there was swords, there was, like, the whole thing. Like, the sword thing, it was, just reminded me of, like, the Princess Diaries. No, I always get them mixed up. Princess Bride, even. They're very different films.
They're very opposite ends of the spectrum. But
it's like, let's redo that into a modern style. It's good.
Yeah, it was good. I think what was interesting to me was that I understand what you're saying, because the second one was obviously the middle movie so far in the trilogy, but they had to expand on the story and justify the existence of a third. I just don't feel it was as good as the first movie. The first movie is a classic. It's like a cult classic.
I still can't get my wife to watch it, actually.
Really?
Just because of the beginning, because she knows what happens.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. The third one was...
well, really, you can't watch any of the movies if you don't know that particular bit of context.
No, you need to watch it.
Because that's kind of what triggers him being a fucking nightmare.
I'm back!
The third one was almost a little bit too much action. Almost. Like, it was almost like I'm fucking getting exhausted watching you
It was quite tiring.
smashing you through a million glass plates or whatever it is, or books or whatever it is that you've got in the room.
It was kind of like hard-boiled, but like contemporary.
Yeah, but it was good. It was solid. I think it was solid, is what I'll put it down to.
I enjoyed it a lot. Like, it was one of the first films I've seen for a long time where I'm just like, I want to go and see it again.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because I wasn't a massive fan of the second one. Loved the first one. Walked into the third one with no expectations at all. And I walked out of it and went, wow, that was really good. I'd see that again for sure.
I think my only criticism was that, without spoiling it for people that haven't seen it, like, the stakes weren't high enough. Like, there was stuff where it was like half committal.
Yep.
Like, there were certain things where it's like, oh, it's going to get real now, and then it's like the Dallas thing and wakes up in the shower at the end.
Yeah, because all of those high stakes were in the first movie.
Yeah.
So the first movie was the high stakes. The second movie was the law. And if you want to be really critical, what was the third movie? It really didn't have... It kind of was basically a continuation.
It's just finishing
off the second one. It wasn't like anything else other than that. And if I'm going to be really, really weird about it, it was almost like, fuck, I can't do this anymore. There's too much action. It's killing me. You know what I mean? Very few down moments, which is good. But it was crazy. And what I love about Keanu Reeves, he fucking did all of that shit himself. That's insane.
It is. Like, he's what, 50?
55, man?
Yeah.
Or something thereof.
Well, rumours are several hundred years old.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what?
Him and Nicolas Cage.
Let's call it now. I'm calling it now. He's the modern day Chuck Norris. I'm fucking said it. I fucking said it. I said it. He's up there. He's either the modern day Clint Eastwood, the modern day Chuck Norris. He's something. Because I would never have believed back in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that guy would be as big as he is today. Would you believe?
A machine.
Would you believe?
No. Like, there's nothing that you could watch and go, oh yes, you're going to be an amazing action star. And like, it's the love that he gets these days.
Yeah.
It's just like it's unreal. Like, there was somebody I follow on Twitter the other day was like saying that at some point, surely he's got to mess up. Like, he's going to do something where he's going to say something, do something, whatever. Whereas everybody's like, he's the nicest person I've ever met. Like, I read, like, somebody broke into his house. Like, these two kids came to visit him, and like, so jumped into his backyard and were just like, oh, we're at Keanu's house. And he invited them in for a beer.
He would have just gone, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, you know, he secretly has been sponsoring children's hospitals for the longest time. Like, he bankrolls the development of hospital wings and didn't actually tell anyone that he was doing it. It wasn't under his real name.
Yeah.
So
I think he's just kept himself very private. You don't hear much about... Well, I'm not really into that shit anyway. I don't really care about actors...
Tabloids and shit.
Yeah. But I haven't heard much about his private situation. There's not much dirt on him. From what I've heard.
That's because he's a good guy.
You know what I mean? Like, some actors,
involved.
like Tom Cruise, let's be upfront. He makes great movies. He's a great actor, but we all know he's fucking insane, right? Yeah. We all know he's insane, but he's a great actor. Keanu Reeves, he's more of an action actor, if that's such a thing, or an action.
He doesn't have a lot of range.
No, it's like, whoa.
He plays himself.
Yes, he's basically playing himself when he gets up there and he does a movie. But you don't hear any bullshit outside of the movie stuff. Like, he's not doing crazy... Like, he's not like Tom Cruise jumping on a couch on Oprah Winfrey.
He's a bit of a recluse.
Yes, I think that's what it is.
I wonder how much of it is just like the trauma that he's been through over the years, is like whether that's kind of grounded him, that it kept him real
potentially.
Like, because you can imagine, like, if you're sitting there, like, you'd had some success, like you'd done Bill and Ted, you'd done Point Break, and like you'd okay, Point Break, classic.
I even forgot about that.
Classic,
I forgot about that.
But then you have The Matrix, and you got points on the back end, and so all of a sudden you've just sat there, and like he says himself, like, he's got more money than he could spend in 20 lifetimes, and so. But at that point in his life, then he had some pretty horrible things that happened to him. And like,
what happened to him?
So, well, it was like his ex, I think it was his ex-girlfriend who, like, she committed suicide.
Really? I didn't know any. See, I don't know any of this shit.
Yeah, and like there was a few, I can't recall all of them, but there was like some.
He's lost a few people very close to him.
Yeah, and but that was all in that sort of time period as well. And so I do wonder if, like, because his greatest success, like, commercially, financially, happened at the same time as some nasty stuff, whether that's just kept him.
So what's his greatest success movie?
Well, I think the Matrix, like, objectively is just because
He made
like,
the most money from it.
It's like he's made a huge amount of money. It turned him back
because
into
John
the
Wick's
star.
more of a cult movie.
Yeah,
more
like
of
John Wick surprisingly hasn't done that well at the box office.
No,
like,
the critics don't like it.
no, like,
But they're fucking idiots.
They
What do they
like
know?
anything
They're like,
good.
you know what? Can I tell you? Fuck the mainstream journalists, whether they're movies or games, they
God.
don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Sorry, I just saw you go and say, "Oh God, we're mainstream media now."
No, they don't know what they're doing,
It's
mate.
an alien conspiracy.
You know why? Journalists that work at IGN and GameSpot, we got news here at Infowars.com that these people, they're actors, journalists, actually child molesters,
Oh, fucking hell.
and they're lizard people. They're trying to suppress us with false information. Ah! But how many times do you watch
Just go to gaming. The
Well,
amount of times I've played a game that was rated fucking poorly.
And you go, what game were you playing?
What game were you playing? This is fucking awesome. Or vice versa.
It's why I quite like Metacritic and those
Yeah.
things these days.
Well,
But,
it-
like when
yeah.
you see the you see the Metacritic for professionals and then the
Yep.
people, and the people one for me is generally not
The
too
people
far
one is
off.
what I go off,
Yeah,
yeah,
same.
because people are the ones that they can smell bullshit 9 times out of 10. So if the game has been rated really poorly, and we'll use an example that I can think of just on the top of my head was Days Gone, which is a PS4 exclusive from Sony Bend actually, their developer. They didn't rate that very highly when it comes to the actual game itself. This is the mainstream media, but when the people got it in their hands, they said, "Yeah, it's not the best game
But it's
we've
not
ever
bad."
played, and it's not a 10 out of 10, but it's not a fucking 5 out of 10."
just look at
It's
Red Dead Redemption.
Well, I agree. Red Dead Redemption was like the greatest thing that's ever been made. Okay, technically it is. I'm not going to argue about the technical part of it. I'm not going to argue about the voice acting, the graphics, the sound. It's awesome, right? But the game was fucking boring, man.
It took a long time to get going. That was the biggest problem.
Had some good moments in it, but
Have you completed it?
Yes. Yeah, I did. I probably completed it the first out of the group of people that I knew were playing it, and I kept my mouth shut for a couple of weeks because I didn't dig it.
Well, put it this way. It's not the sort of game where... Because I don't have 3 fucking hours to do a single mission and then be dumped out in the middle of fucking nowhere and then expected to walk
Right
my
back.
fucking horse back to some sort of level of civilization.
There's a balance in gaming, and I think we're walking a very dangerous line at the moment where developers feel obligated to put a level of realism in games at the sacrifice of fun, the fun factor. And something's off, in my opinion, when Rockstar said, "We've even got descending testicles on horses when it's cold." Well, is that fun?
Well, let's be honest.
Somebody's gone and put resources and time and money into that.
It was just an
right?
individual developer that thought it was funny and they kept it in the game.
But that's not... To me, I don't give a shit. Tell me what this game is actually about.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the core gameplay, I'll be fucking honest now. I didn't intend for this to be a Red Dead Redemption 2 rant, but you've started me. The fucking controls of that game were fucking awful.
Yep.
Yeah,
They were awful.
I am looking forward to playing it with a keyboard and mouse. Sitting there, like, trying to line it up when even in
Okay,
slow
so
motion.
raise of hands. How many people on this table accidentally killed someone by pressing the wrong button?
We've all raised our hands. It was awful. There was one mission there, I'd say about the 3/4 mark of that game. When I don't want to spoil it for those that haven't played it, but there's a mission there
It's all right,
Oh,
6
fuck
months
off it.
ago.
6
Fuck them now.
when you get put into Cuba.
Yep.
There's a mission where you've got to fight people down a little narrow stairwell or something like this. It was fucking awful. Trying to control your character as well as aim at the enemies coming towards you. You know what I thought? We have not progressed in gameplay at all. This is awful. They've sacrificed...
I just didn't get that whole point of going to
No,
Cuba.
that was rubbish.
That made no sense, that whole part of the
You know
game.
what that was? Because if you remember Red Dead Redemption, they had a bit where you went to Mexico.
Yeah.
But that actually made sense in the story that you went to Mexico because you met up with a whole bunch of other characters that were integral into the story development. But that part in Red Dead Redemption 2 did nothing to serve the story. Didn't propel, put the story forward.
Nope.
And then, but what happened was all the things that I was thinking in the back of my mind, geez, the gameplay, the controls are off on this, were really, really heightened when I went to that bit in Cuba in that part of the game, because you're trying to control your character, and he's fucking walking in the walls and walking off walls and walking off cliffs, and you're dying and you're getting shot. And yeah, I'm shit at games. I'll be the first to admit it, but that was awful. Right? And I'll tell you now, I'm sorry, but unless Rockstar do something, keyboard and mouse won't save it when it comes to PC.
Do you know what the worst part of that game? Do you know what the worst part?
Keyboard and mouse will help a lot.
Control-wise, it will. Yeah.
It was still awful.
Do you know what was more annoying in that game?
What?
That I spent way too many hours trying to bag fucking Sadie.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
And it didn't happen.
Do you know what?
I'm like, fuck this game.
He sends me a text message going, Sadie's hot. I go, fucking oath, how hot's her voice? And then we looked up the voice actor in real life.
She's fucking hot.
She's smoking. Mate, I'm talking smoking. You look it up.
Dr. Google says.
She's awesome, man. But that's my point. That game frustrated me, not because of just the gameplay, because how awesome it was in so many other areas of the game, like, you know, the graphics, the sound, but the fundamental, most basic of things, which is controls, it was way off. And when a game's got bad controls, I'm done. I don't care how good the game is, I'm done. If I don't like controlling the character or controlling what it is that I'm doing, it's over.
Yeah, I concur.
You concur? Can you show me again? Oh, fuck, she's hot. Imagine coming home to that every night.
Jesus, I'd be coming home before I came.
You know what I'd be doing? I'd be going,
it's worth tuberculosis. A bit of consumption.
I'd be sitting there going, I just ruined your roommate's bathrobe. So before we go further into that rabbit hole, Serious Sam, you had some grievances.
I didn't
Let's air them
have
out.
one.
What's your grievance? Come on, let's
I was just a little bit frustrated. I had been attacked for one text message. I was described as a keyboard warrior sitting at home that was raising all of this stuff. When
I never called you a keyboard warrior.
Yes, you did.
No, I called you.
You said it's fucking keyboard warriors.
I called you a serious prick.
And that there was about 6 or 7 mentions through one episode.
But did you see what the method to my madness was?
He got you to come back in.
Fucking podcast.
I was already coming in.
But I had to motivate you. And that's why I'm going to say it now. That fucking suppressive personality, Pedro, he needs to come and defend himself. You know, he has the audacity to say, oh, I've heard you've been picking on me again. Well, fucking get off your ass and come here and defend yourself, you fuck. Now, I said it. So what was your grievance that I didn't bring up?
No, I just was surprised when you went through all this list of bands that you just didn't mention one that was kind of also instrumentally progeniting the whole
So as
thing.
I was saying to you upstairs, the reason for that is, honestly, it didn't even come into my mind to talk about them. And I was a really late bloomer. We're talking about Cayuse, yeah? I was a really late bloomer to them because I was kind of a late bloomer to Queens of the Stone Age, right? I didn't really get into Queens of the Stone Age at all until Songs for the Deaf, released in 2002, right? So that's pretty late because they released a couple of albums before that in the late 90s, right? So I got into them via that album, and then I was really a big fan, and I still am very much a big fan of Josh Homme, or Hom. Right?
I don't actually know how to pronounce it.
I don't either. I'm fucking paranoid now. I'm paranoid now. Because I was mispronouncing Cayuse as fucking Kyrus, right?
And then
Nuke and Neil pulled me up on that. So now I'm paranoid. But look, I'm a big fan of him. And look, shout out to Nervous Nath, because he's a big fan of him too. And he said he could serve up anything on a plate and I'll love it. Right?
Yeah,
so any album he brings out...
That's right. It's iconic bands.
That's
right.
The
whole way through.
That's right.
Annoyingly talented.
That's right. And you're right. I'll agree with you here, right? That if you're going to talk about him, I should have talked about that band too, Cayuse. I should have. But it didn't even come into my mind because I'm a very late bloomer to them, and I do really like them. Like One Inch Man is a classic. Green Machine is a classic. These are some of the songs that they did. Fucking awesome.
Thumb's the one for me. Like that kicking in
the
guitar thing.
That's a classic
guitar thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that. It's almost like industrial with a through the start.
Yeah.
Fucking
they
awesome.
are arguably early grunge stoner rock or stoner grunge music.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. It was like they were the inflection, like grunge went one way,
Yep.
and then
They went the
stoner
other.
rock went the other.
Yeah.
They were kind of at the start for both, and then went
That
more
kind of
stoner.
hurt them a little bit commercially because I think
Yeah, they're very cool. Like I
Yeah.
also hadn't heard of them like that much. Like genuinely, I'd heard them a few times, and then I dated or went on a few dates with a girl that she was a huge fan, and so I went and rechecked it out and was going back through my collection. I was like,
she sounds cool.
she was.
Was
But
she?
We
got a-
won't talk about that.
You got a
But
number? She's single?
Unfortunately, no.
She's in the UK.
and with children and all
Oh,
that.
I'm not interested. The boner just died. No, I totally agree with you, right? And your comment's fair, but I had to get a reaction out of you, you prick. I can't just say, oh, well, I'll have to agree to disagree, and let's fucking hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Fuck off. I got you on the
It was
show.
the mischaracterization that annoyed me. It was like,
Well, now you've been
like
able to defend yourself.
You'd made out that I'd been sitting there like, the kid in Warcraft and
Yes,
South
what a
Park
rock.
episode.
Yeah.
Like just sitting there going, oh, well, it's like, I sent one message going, I was just a bit surprised.
Did you say, man, he's picking on me, man?
Tight pitch pants.
Screw guys. You want a hot pocket? I could just imagine you going, Mando, he's pissing all over me, fuck him. Well, got you on the show.
Well, in
But
fairness, I wasn't even listening to the podcast that much. It was just on in the background. And then
she-
Amanda's like,
You got a shout out.
mentioned it 4 times now. I'm like, hang on.
Hang on.
Let's rewind.
no, because he says to me, he's upset with you because you didn't mention that band. And I went, what
So it's
band?
Jason's fault.
Yeah,
blame me.
He fucking
Yeah,
started.
I said, oh, you forgot to mention a band, and then he's fucking gone ranting.
I ranted, man.
Fucking keyboard warriors sitting at home, they're thinking they...
And then fucking Yuka Neil rams it into me even more. He goes, well, it's not Kairos, it's Caius. Oh, well, fuck me. I can't win today,
I thought
can
it was
I?
Caius. So,
Well,
who knows?
I'll be honest with you.
Maybe that's why they weren't
I thought
big.
it was Koos.
I've never seen them either live, and I've never... They're a band that I regret.
You have. You saw Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, I
It's-
have.
band,
but,
yeah.
but they're a band that I regret back in the day not having been into, right?
Oh, there's so many. Like for me, like there was so many that I missed the first time round because I went through a really, really annoying and embarrassing kind of electro. Like I was really into Prodigy and Faithless and all. Like
Oh, yeah,
Daft
that's
Punk
okay.
and
Well,
all
Prodigy
that kind
were
of
cool.
stuff, and then kind of came out of that in like 2002, and I'd missed an awful lot of good stuff, and so I kind of like Spotify and things like that were great for me because I went back and reappraised myself. Like I saw Metallica in 2008. I'd never got on with Metallica like I saw them in 2008. It was like, this is just fucking noise. I hate it.
Yeah.
And then with Spotify, you finally get the time to go back, listen to it from the early days, and
Yeah,
it wasn't nothing else matters. Go, what the fuck is this shit?
Yes.
It's like jumping the shark.
This is this is what I was saying with I don't know if you heard that podcast, but I had that discussion with Yuka Neil, and shout out to him. Was that Metallica for me? I get up to like the Black Album in 1991 or 1990, and that's it. After that,
They're dead to me.
They're kind of dead to me. But albums like Kill 'Em All, Master of Puppets, and particularly And Justice for All, just classics, just so good. And then after that, I saw them in 1996 at the Entertainment Centre here in Sydney, and the Entertainment Centre, the old one, was awful for acoustics, right? And it didn't do them any favours at all on the night. And this was when they were doing the Load tour, the Load album tour, and it was a load of shit, and I didn't enjoy that gig at all. Yeah, no pun intended. But I didn't enjoy that gig at all. It was just not a good night. Probably one of the worst gigs I've ever been to be honest. And I don't think it was necessarily them. I think it was the time.
Yeah.
They're promoting their latest album, which none of us really liked, as I guess previous fans of their music. And that particular venue wasn't a great venue back in the day.
I suppose like that type of music, like it's very sensitive to poor acoustics. Like the whole like reinforcement singing thing. It's like if you've got too many hard surfaces, if you've got all of that, it's just going to be horrific.
Let me tell you how bad it was. You'd see James Hetfield or someone strum their guitar. You'd see it, and about 2 seconds later you'd hear it. Maybe 3 seconds later you'd hear it. And the vocals were all echoey. It was just horrible. And so it's a shame because, it's like I wished I had seen them when they were doing the Injustice for All kind of tour, which they must have done.
Yeah, and smaller.
And a smaller venue, but wasn't to be. And it tarnished
That's
my
why I just
opinion
don't
of
go to those big stadium venues. Anyone that goes to pay, I don't know, $160 to see the Foo Fighters at some stadium, I just can't justify it because you just don't get the acoustics. It's just not worth it. I would pay any day of the week to see anybody at the Metro. You know, if I had to pay $200 to see Living Colour at the Metro, I'd pay it in a heartbeat.
We saw them.
Just because of the acoustics, but I can't justify
We saw
going
them
to
twice
a
at the
big
Metro
stadium.
now.
Yeah, we've seen. Oh, and when they come out again next year, I'll be fucking seeing them again.
Yeah, it's definitely like bands that can't make the jump to the big ones. Like one of my favourite bands, and you probably do feel strongly about it in a negative way. Like, so I love Muse. Like, I love pretty much everything they did.
You know, they do
up
a
until
great
about 3 or 4 years.
They do a
ago.
great stage show.
Well, let me,
But they progressed really well from going, okay, we were doing our small venues, and then they were doing like 1,000 people, and then they go to arenas and they do arena shows well. Whereas I've seen like Red Hot Chili Peppers for example, they were terrible, like absolutely.
I've seen
awful,
Red Hot
like,
Chili Peppers as well live, and they were terrible. But let me just say with Muse, I'll agree with you with what you said. I liked Muse up until the Resistance album.
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
Okay, so Origins of Symmetry, I liked, even though it was weird. I liked it. I really liked Black Holes and what was it?
Something in Revelation.
Black Holes and Revelations. I liked.
Knights of Sidonia, what a tune!
Yeah, I dug that. I liked the first album, which was it? It had Muscle Museum on it, which is the second
and
track.
Bliss, which is my
Yeah,
favourite.
the only criticism back in those early days was that they were being compared to Radiohead far too much, which I think was a bit unfair.
Yeah,
But
quite different.
I really dig Muse. I've seen Muse I think twice.
Yep.
Yep.
Can't take it away from them. They're awesome. But in terms of being talented musicians,
Well,
mate, he's-
Matt
Matt
Bellamy's
Bellamy's
another one of those
He-
annoyingly talented people. It's like, I'll sit there and I'll be grade 8 piano.
And the
And I'll
vocals
go
that
play
he's-
be one of the best guitarists, and then I'll.
and his
you know,
vocals are unbelievable, right? But up until the Resistance, I think that was the last album I bought. And my opinion of Muse, it might be unpopular, is I feel they're a little bit pretentious now.
Yeah.
I feel like they're into themselves a little bit too much, and they don't know what they want to be.
Yeah,
and
well,
I
they're
think,
pushing the political thing very hard.
yeah,
as
they're
well.
pushing that, and
Drones, that new one's.
yeah, Drones wasn't good. I did listen to some of it, and I didn't like it. But the last album I bought from them was the Resistance, and that was it. After that, I couldn't.
I think
tell you much about it.
that's when my wife and I we went and saw them at some stadium there in Olympic Park. That was the last time I saw Muse.
Yeah.
Resistance tour.
So I agree with you on that. What else? What's your other grievance?
No, it was just that. I just felt attacked.
Well,
needlessly.
I will make a public apology to you. I've made a public.
See, that weirds me out too. Though. You can't win.
I can't win.
So you,
No, I wasn't
you
attacking.
just sit there and be sorry.
No, I wasn't attacking you.
Well,
But
you were.
well, you fucking deserved it. You fucking prick. No, I wasn't attacking.
As you know, I've got full transcriptions of all of these podcasts.
Yeah, it certainly
No,
does. I know.
you're quite the fucking.
Clever fuck.
No, in fairness, so I haven't shared the material with the group yet, but basically I had a friend's assistant assistance from a friend to help me set up a swear jar application for this podcast that basically counts all the
Well, as
words.
long as that person listens to this bullshit podcast and maybe even rates and subscribes.
He saw how much you swear, so maybe that's put him off.
Oh, well, you know what? You can't please anybody. And I'll be honest with you.
I will say, though, I think there's been no Mario sounds through this.
We haven't dropped this.
Oh.
Wait, please don't.
I've been on a self-improvement program.
I'm tired. I don't want to have to edit
No, I've
them.
been on a self-improvement. I'm trying to curb the swearing down a bit. I can't eliminate it. It's not going to happen, right? But you know what? I'm in the mindset these days, you can't please everybody. And you know what? Because this is the problem that I have with the world.
try?
Why try? This is the problem with the world now. And it's in games. It's become political, right? And it's in movies too. We have to please everybody. Well, you can't, because there's going to be some little group in the corner that's going to get offended by what you've just done or said or
Triggered.
whatever, or triggered. Cyberpunk. We'll go back to where we started, right? Cyberpunk 2077. Did you see the shit that's been coming up with that? Well, they're outraged about the transgender nature and all of that shit in that game, because there was an image that they took of a poster in the game, and it looks like the I think it's a female in the poster. I think I could be wrong on this, but it looks like they've got a ginormous doodle, right? And so people are triggered over it. You know, you can't win. I saw something on, and I'll call them out, because you know what? Come for me, you fucks. I got nothing to hide, and I don't give a shit anymore. But GameSpot, the fucking bullshit smashed avocado eating pricks, and I saved you then. I saved him. I almost said it. One of them says, and I'll save you again. This is why I'm dodging bullets. She says, I hope Lara Croft's gay. Well, fuck, who gives a shit if she is or she's not? But they have to put their politics into everything now. And what I'm saying is, the more you try and make people happy with everything, you're going to upset some person sitting in the corner, and they're going to get triggered. Well, you know what? Let's say you do make everybody happy. Just because they can, they're going to say they're not happy. Right? Because they've got nothing better to do. So all these people that complain about Cyberpunk 2077 with the bullshit that they've seen in it, and how the protagonist isn't what they want.
Because everybody's seen in great depth what that game's all about, haven't they?
But they're triggered about what the character. But they're triggered about what the character is.
But they don't know what the fucking character is.
No, because it's male, right? And so they're triggered about it. And what I'm saying,
I thought you could choose your gender.
What they've seen.
I swear that I've seen the character creation screen.
Yeah, I could have sworn so.
Well, what they've seen on the thing.
Oh, because
on the video.
Because Keanu's a boy.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. That came up too. Did you know that came up? No. While people were cheering that Keanu's in it, there was a group in the corner sitting crying, going, "Oh, why are we applauding that it's a white male?" Oh, fuck. So I now say, go fuck yourself, you fucking whinging cocksuckers, because you can't win. You can't please everybody. And as soon as you try and please everybody, someone's going to be in the corner, and even though they're not offended, they'll say they are offended.
But didn't the same thing happen with Witcher?
Yes.
They were upset that the main character...
Yes.
What's her name?
Siri.
But
that was in the Witcher Netflix series that's coming out. Right? When they showed the cast for Netflix...
Oh, because she's white.
Because she's white. Yeah. Oh, well, there's no one of colour there. You know what happened in...
it's like a fucking Nordic tale, you idiots.
The Warhorse, 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year, released a game. I can't remember the name of the game. It's going to do my head in. They released a game set in the Czech Republic, and because everyone in that game's not of colour, they got upset with it. But but this game's historically accurate, and it proclaims itself to be historically accurate.
Not massively
well, there's no one of colour in that fucking part of the
That's
world.
Right. That's exactly right. Well, look where.
But there's no one of colour in that part of the world.
Look at The Witcher. The Witcher is based off books that are based in the Nordic.
Yeah, but they got triggered over it. Siri was white, and they wanted a black Siri.
But she's supposed to be.
But they got triggered. This is what I'm saying. You can't please everybody, so I won't shut my mouth. And you know what, you fucks? I'll probably be dead in a few years anyway, so you'll get your fucking wish, you pricks, and I don't care. So if these fucking idiots at IGN and GameSpot, I'm calling them out, and I'll tell you who else I'll call out, fucking CNET. You see the bullshit of CNET? You hear about that shit?
I don't read it on principle.
No, they got a guy, right, a CNET reporter, who came to these prominent YouTubers, right? Angry Joe's one of them.
Yep.
And he said, I want to do an interview with you about what your content's about. And he sat with them and did an interview with them. And then he wrote an article called YouTuber Outrage and what it takes to... So that gets rid of YouTuber. And he totally went against everything they said. He twisted their words to make it out like people that are on these platforms like YouTube or even podcasting are like these angry white males or these angry people. He took their words and twisted it and manipulated it.
But his name's
You know
Angry
what?
Joe.
I'm going to call out that fuck. Interview me, you prick, and you'll go into your little corner weeping and crying because, you know what? If I upset Serious Sam, I fucking haven't even started to offend people. I'll go Alex Jones on that fuck.
And I think one of the things
I'm trying to calm down.
In popular culture at the moment that it does kind of resonate is the fact that there's so many forms of media now that are incentivized over outrage.
Yeah.
And so by pretending to be outraged or saying that things are outrageous or whatever it is, that constant need for clicks, for eyes to be in front of stuff is kind of is driving a more polarizing view of the world.
Because it's easier to get clicks.
But you know what else it is, Serious Sam? People have got too much time on their hands. I'm sorry.
No,
They have. Because I'm going to give you an analogy, and correct me if I'm wrong. In World War II, when people were making ammunition in the munition factories because they were surviving, right? Do you think they came up with this bullshit? They didn't have fucking time. They were trying to fight for their last loaf of bread, right? They were trying to fight for survival. Now we've got a good.
Yeah.
We've got a good, right? Everyone in the world, 9 times out of 10, I'm not saying there's not bullshit in the world, because there fucking is a lot. We've in the developed countries, we've got it very good, right? And if you're arguing about a video game and the character's colour in the video game, you don't know what the fuck's going on in the world. I'm sorry, you don't. You fucking don't, right? If you're arguing about all that shit, you need to take a really big... You know what you need to do? Take the red pill, as they did in The Matrix, right? Take the red pill and see what's going on in the world, and then, you'll get a dose of reality and you'll know what's really up in the world, right? If you're fighting over that bullshit that Siri was fucking not black, chosen by Netflix, come on. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Come on. If you're on, you know what? And you should be ashamed, GameSpot, for coming up with that bullshit and having that person say, "Oh, I hope Lara Croft's gay." Oh, fuck off. That's journalism.
I hope Lara Croft's gay, but for completely different
So do
reasons.
I. Oh, so do I, man. Wouldn't it be awesome? And there's a scene in the next
Scissoring.
She's scissoring. Oh yeah, in the next Tomb Raider game. And the girlfriend's looking up at her butt.
Can it be an action sequence?
I'd fuck it. Oh, yeah, it's a quick time one. Mm-hmm. Like in God of War.
Like
God of War Ascension.
Like Mass Effect.
No bullshit. God of War Ascension, it was a quick time event. A sex scene. No bullshit. On the PS3, you had to press the fucking, I think it was the square button.
How are you supposed to do that while you got your hand on your cock?
Oh, mate, it was hard. It was very tough.
yeah,
it was hard, and it was tough.
You had the fleshlight.
I had the Fleshlight going. By the way, shout out to Fleshlight for not sponsoring this podcast. We don't appreciate it. Where's our sponsorship?
Where's our free samples?
Where's our free samples? I'll give you comprehensive reviews about the Fleshlight. What else have you got to say, Serious Sam?
I've got nothing.
So we can bring this bitch home. How long have we been calling this bullshit?
Fucking really long. An hour and 50.
Well, have you got anything else? Have you forgiven me?
I have forgiven you, but I'm very tolerant, so...
You are. You're a very relaxed guy. I like that.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I just have different modes. So
well, I'm sorry.
I have my social mode and I have my work mode. And
I'm sorry I triggered you. I didn't mean to. But you're totally...
unnecessary.
You're totally right.
But everything he says is totally unnecessary, so it's perfectly within his realm.
No, but I'm hearing him.
You've taken the feedback on board.
No, unlike these other fucks that I just ranted about, who don't want to listen, who don't want to accept that they're wrong, I will. No, I will. I'll admit I'm wrong, right? I'll be happy to be called out. You called me out, cool. And we had a debate over it, or a discussion over it. But unlike everybody else in the fucking world, they don't want to. They want to grab their spear and die on the hill. That's my big beef with the way the world is at the moment. They don't want to agree to disagree. Or they don't want to say, yeah, I got that wrong. Let me double check my facts and figures and I'll come back to you. Or let's talk about it. No. We'll die on the hill before we do that bullshit. And then we'll bring our politics into the game, or we'll bring our politics into movies, because it's everywhere, right? And it does my head in, you know? Only yesterday, I was telling you... I saw John Wick 3, but I didn't see that yesterday. I went to the movies with a very good friend of mine with a Cockney accent, by the way. Saw Bright.
He loves it every time he hears
he
that.
loves it, man. We saw Brightburn. It's actually quite good.
Okay.
And it's a kind of a weird take on... I'm going to butcher this, but it's kind of like, what if Superman was actually evil? Isn't
that actually a thing?
I was going to say that I'm fairly sure that's been revisited about 10 times.
It has, but this is actually the movie, right? But it's I don't know the comic well enough. I don't know the universe well enough to really talk about it. I'll admit that I don't know enough. But it's kind of that take of, you know, they find an alien baby like Superman. They look after him when he grows up. Instead of being Superman with superpowers, he's Superman but evil. Right?
Super prick.
So he's a super prick, right? We were looking at the other movies that are out, and one of them was the new Men in Black International. And it's so obvious, the political agenda of that movie. Tick all the boxes. Tick all the boxes so we don't upset
Female,
anybody.
Black, female,
yes, abso-fucking-lutely. Exactly, that's my point. And that triggers...
I do like Tessa Thompson, I do have to say that.
Yeah, but that triggers me, right? Because why? Why can't you just accept for what it is? But people are crybabies now. People want to get their smashed avocado and cry in a little corner. Wah, I didn't get my way. Wah, Siri wasn't black. Wah, fuck off. I'm done. What else is on your grievance? Nothing else on your grievance list?
No, but one of the things that you did just say kind of resonates about the whole...
I should have shut the fuck up. We could have been out of here.
Then we can move on.
No,
keep going.
No,
Keep going.
It was just the thing about saying everybody feels like you can't have
I'm
disagreement.
generalising.
No, but it's true. Like, people don't feel that you can have disagreement anymore. And like it drives me crazy when I'm at work that everybody sits there and it's like they'll try and like endlessly debate you on something to bring you around to their point of view. And it's just like, we don't have to agree.
Yes.
Somebody has decision-making power.
Absolutely.
Make a decision. Done.
Don't you feel that in general? And it could be, we could talk about movies, games, politics, the workplace, anything that you want to talk about. People want to convert you to their way of thinking, almost like a religion, right? Or they want to grab their spear and take you to the hill and fight you to the death on it. And I don't get that, because in my time, and I am an old man, but in my day it was like, I agree to disagree with you, right? We could have talked about Caius or any other band today and said, I didn't like them, dude. I just thought they were shit. And you could have said, all right, agree to disagree, right? Or you could have thrown stuff at me and I would have said, all right, I just don't agree with you, Serious Sam. I'm really sorry, all right? But I wouldn't have dragged you to the hill and made it like blood sport, you know what I mean? But this is the modern world we live in, and it does my fucking head in.
Film, wasn't it? Bloodsport.
It was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that was fucking the shit. Do you reckon they'd make that today? I don't think they would.
No.
I don't think they would.
For this reason.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
oh, it's inspiring children to wrap their hands and with broken glass and punch each other.
And you know what? It doesn't tick all the
You know
boxes
what?
either.
If they punch each other with broken glass, they fucking deserve
If
it.
they're dumb enough to do it, yep, fuck them.
And it doesn't tick all the boxes.
Oh, you could make
Every
it tick the
movie
boxes.
that comes out now, most of them, not all of them, let's tick all the boxes. And if I looked at Men in Black International on the poster, I didn't even look at the movie or watch the movie. I just saw the poster. And my friend said to me, look at all the boxes it ticks. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. And it does my head in. Why would I be offended if it didn't tick all the boxes?
Well, that's going to
You know
start.
what I mean?
It's starting to happen in gaming.
Why am I
I
upset
think
with it?
hopefully we'll just come through the other side of it where it's just balanced. Like, so, because it's where it's doing it for its own sake that is when it annoys me. That it is just like, okay, well, I need to have a gay person, I need to have a black person, I need to have an Asian. Like, oh, we need the guy that's going to sell it, and they go through and do that, and that annoys me. But then you go, like, have you ever seen the show Billions?
Oh, yeah, briefly, yeah.
And so that has a very diverse character or very diverse characters. It's got non-binary identities and all of those, but it's not a big thing. It's just there's people in it that just have those things, and I think I'd hope over the next few years that it just becomes like it's okay. Like these people might be in a thing because it's relevant to the story or because
if it's relevant to a story,
they're not forcing it into it.
Exactly. Don't force it down my throat. But the old saying, you can't please everybody. That's how I. That's
but there's a quote.
You
I've
just
been trying
can't
to
please
remember it
everybody.
for the last 20 minutes, but it's like there is a quote somebody said about like if your art form isn't offending somebody, then is it really art? Basically, and I wonder if we're trying too hard to get rid of all of that offense from people. Like if you look at comedians that used to go exist, they wouldn't be around anymore.
Do you know? Well, that's a good point, because a lot of the comedians that, for example, if I think about Joe Rogan and his podcast, he gets a lot of his comedian friends on there, and they've all said it. They're all in another world now. Like they're obsolete because people are
George
afraid.
Carlin now.
Oh mate, the amount of people he would have offended. What about Eddie Murphy? Fuck, with the Raw video.
Yeah, like
Holy
Amanda couldn't
shit.
watch it. Like she was just like, I'm like, sorry, this was hilarious.
This was hilarious.
Like
yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. The first Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Yeah, Chris Rock.
Like,
Yeah.
same thing. Like absolutely hilarious, but it's not that appropriate.
Yeah, which is why I respect those comedians that say "fuck you" all the more.
But that was what comedy was built on. It was built on the shock value. Like, oh, he or she's taken that really far. You know, holy shit. Because I don't know what comedy's going to be like in the future if we want to silence our, become drones. That's my fear in the world. We become drones and we're being suppressed, right? We really are, right? If you have a group of people telling you what you can and can't say, sorry, that's not a good future in my opinion, right? And you just can't please everybody. That's just at the end of the day. If you go and if you've got a list that's a mile long and you're going to tick all the boxes to make a movie or something or make a game, I put money on it. You miss a box, and you know what the box they fucking don't tick? The 40-year-old nerd, bald fucking loser that does a shit podcast every week that's available on Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox,
Android as well now.
Android and iTunes, if I didn't say that already, that typically has wonderful guests like Serious Sam, who's had a fucking enough, I can tell.
He wants his cake.
He wants his cake, so do I.
Cake would be good.
We done, Serious Sam?
I think we're done.
Mate, thank you for coming in. Do you feel like you've purged, you've vented, you've got everything you wanted to say?
I didn't come angry enough, but there's always
You should
next
have.
time.
You would have had me on my back foot. And we're going, oh, please don't be angry. Please. I'm very vulnerable at the moment. Cat died. So I'm very sad. Not that I really give a fuck, to be honest, about how you feel. That's how I am. I'll just say it for the listeners. Oh shit, we still recording? Serious Sam, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Please come back.
Okay, maybe.
You probably won't, you know.
Might not.
I'll have to say,
I'm just going to be wait to be called
I'll have to
out
say
again.
something completely outrageous and the fuck will come back.
I guarantee you do next
I
episode.
fucking will. I'll give him a shout out and he'll go.
It probably was the next episode, but because it was on Stardate 12.
Oh, who knows when this prick will
It was
upload
actually 6 episodes after I'd been on.
That's
It
right.
probably was. Yeah.
No, thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jason Relaxation, for being you. Don't go or changing. Thank you, Serious Sam, for once again for being, well, just serious and coming forth with some ideas that I now have to reconsider about my bullshit life. Thank you, Mum, for letting us use your basement. This has been Invert the Why, Captain's Log, Stardate Log 12.1.5. I'm sorry I ranted about bullshit games and Kairos and bears I can't pronounce, and Serious Sam's upset with me. It's something I've got to improve in my life. It's a rabbit hole I can't get out of, but I don't know what to do anymore because I can't even blame my cat because he fucking died. But the house is smelling really nice and fresh, and I feel guilty about it. I don't know what to do. And the robot vacuum cleaner doesn't have to clean up much fucking cat fur like it used to do. And next week, you little fucking ingrates who fucking complain while you're eating your smashed avocado, we'll have something else to discuss about retrodom and bullshit. But until then, you can roll it, buggies!